It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games.
Hey, it's 10 a.m. and this is Utah's best sports radio.
Say my name.
You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb.
You're damn right.
Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, let's get it. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Scott Garrard, the coach, Tim LaComb. Hey, they let us come back for another week.
Well, I was excited about that for sure because, man, we got in a good rhythm last week.
Yeah.
And I think we experienced something, I don't know, you've probably experienced it. It's my first week, but we're sitting there over there with Tyler on our remote the other day at Tim Daly Nissan and had a wonderful time. Both remotes were great. Jake and Tyler took care of us. But, there's a lot of traffic while we were there, and I'm kind of paying attention, seeing what's going on. Literally take my headphones off, that last segment.
I love this.
This is 100% factual.
Yes.
Take my headphones off, and we're kind of positioned just to the left of the entry door. And a guy walks in, take my head off, you're there, Tyler's there. Tyler's there. We're just visiting. And he walks into the circle and said, I was just listening to you guys, and I want to buy a car.
Yep. This is all true, Lloyd. This actually happened.
And Tyler's like, guys, great job, and puts his arm around the dude. They walk away. So, later that night, in fact, right in the intermission of one of the periods, I know Scotty's taking in a hockey game, and I actually threw a party at my house, had some friends over, and we watched it. But I text Scotty. I said, did you ever hear if our guy bought that car? And I got the thumbs up. I got a text back saying, yep, it just went down. He got it. So the karma's real. We're trying to suppress it some, but some crazy things are happening.
That's always it's always a really interesting thing because you kind of get used to just us, like the three of us, just chatting. You forget that there's people out there actually listening to us.
We sit in the office, it's just like this.
Yeah, exactly.
When we get here in the morning.
In fact, if you were to put some mics in on what goes on in Lloyd's office and the conversations there, well, first Lloyd would be in a lot of trouble because he gets pretty loose with his language.
Me. Right.
And he's fairly judgmental.
Very judgmental. Yeah, absolutely.
I've tried to watch my P's and Q's. My goal this week is not to offend.
Well, I mean,
just gave it the.
It's hard not to.
You've already lost.
It's hard not to offend those that are easily offended.
Oh, I love this man.
But when somebody comes up and goes, yeah, I heard you guys, and I want to buy a car, I want to buy this, or I want to sign up for this. It's always like, wow, all right, yeah, that's awesome.
And honestly, the people we deal with too. The one thing they really skinny up, and there's deals to be had. So he took advantage and got in there. So that just kind of rounded out what, to me, probably the best work week of my life. And I'm not...
Stop it.
No,
You've had a lot of good weeks.
I've had a lot of good work weeks. I'm here to tell you, I found my home.
Oh, love it. Love it. All right, we got a busy show, man. We got hockey to talk about. We've got NBA playoffs to talk about. Are the Nuggets dead? This iteration, at least, of the Denver Nuggets. We've got NBA draft lottery coming up. We've got the NFL draft to recap. This is a fun one. This is what we call a fish in the barrel show. So let's get to it. Time for your starting lineup. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to kick off the show with the biggest headlines of the day. This is your starting lineup on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
45 to go in the power play. Gunther, a one-timer, scores! Power play goal for the Mammoth, and it's 2-0. Dylan Gunther's got his second of the series. Everybody knew it was coming, and it did not matter. Golden Knights have on their blue line. There's a shot by Krause, and he scores again! Give him 2 tonight! Lawson Krause has a pair, and it's 4-0.
And the final would be 4-2. The Utah Mammoth get the win in Salt Lake City over the Vegas Golden Knights. Again, 4-2. Utah now up 2-1. And tonight, Timmy can go up 3-1 if they can get another W. But, you know, the crazy thing is I was at that game. I was covering that game. Lloyd, I was covering that game. But the shot discrepancy in this game was crazy. Vegas outshot Utah 32-12. And Utah won that game 4-2, and at one point led 4-0 in that game. And it was just one of those nights where, man, they were deathly accurate with those shots and had great looks.
Well, the fact that you covered it, because I was not there, I described the scene.
Oh,
I mean, honestly,
man.
because you actually will be a perfect, you'll be a perfect impartial. You've been to BYU. You've been to big events at Utah. Where did this rate for you?
This was okay. So I was never here for the height of the John and Carl playoff years. I was still in college for that, but I was here for the Darren Williams-Boozer playoff years. I was here for the obviously Donovan Mitchell playoff years, Gordon Hayward's playoff years. Like I was here for a good chunk of the playoffs over the last 20 years. I have never felt that arena that electric before. And it started early. The crowd was rocking right out of the gate. The place was just hopping. A little bit of liquid courage out there, too, that got people really going in that game. And it was deafening. And I think Utah, Salt Lake City, every Mammoth fan that was there, and there were a ton of people outside just wanted to be around the building. It didn't have tickets, but just wanted to be in the vicinity of history. And the Mammoth played like they wanted to really say thank you to that fan base because they came right out of the gate. Now, they may have struggled a bit right out of the gate, but then at the end of that first period when they got those back-to-back goals, you knew the game was over. Like, Vegas was like, we don't want no part of this.
And it's interesting because we had Jay on last week, Jay Stevens, before the game. And, you know, he talked about that environment kind of maybe having an opportunity to do the opposite.
Yeah.
And really taking some of the, I don't know, making the players feel anxious. And man, it didn't feel like that at all. Like I said, I watched it on television. 4 goals in 30 minutes by the Mammoth. Just to me, it was complete, utter domination. A name that you threw out. In fact, the jersey Brody's going to get, Yamamoto's huge
my guy
in that game.
Yeah.
In fact, he went and basically that the fourth goal, he got that. He just went and stole the puck, and kept it alive and got it kicked over and another goal. So I thought of your guy Yamamoto, who we mentioned. But I feel like the way that they are playing with speed, they've been more disciplined. You know, they're not as penalty prone the last couple of games. And this is the stat that I'll throw out because this is nuts. The Mammoth have a chance tonight to go up 3-1. 325 times that series have gone 3-1 in the NHL. 32 times the team that was down on the 3-1 end came back and won. So if you're doing math at home, that's 90% of the time you get somebody down 3-1 in the NHL. You're going to win the series. So tonight's game, as big as last game was, tonight's game's really an opportunity to knock these dudes into a really narrow area and have a couple of chip chances to knock this series out. And if you're watching what's going on a lot around the league, I mean, it's absolutely crazy. But Anaheim, squeaked out a win last night.
Yeah, that OT classic game.
And so, I mean, things are setting up really nice. But the bottom line is today's a big one. You got to manage your business. If you can get that thing 3-1, it's even more than a commanding lead. That's just about, hey, we've got this thing.
So game 4, I don't care if it's baseball, hockey, NBA, game 4 is always your biggest game because the difference between 3-1 and 2-2 obviously is just flat out enormous. And the ability of the Vegas Knights to come back from a 3-1 deficit, pretty slim, as you mentioned, 10%. And the way that they and I know they scored a couple goals late to try to make things a little interesting, but at the second period and most of the third period, that team looked like, we're done. Let's just pack up and get ready for game 4. And I got that sense that they were just like, okay, there is a freight train coming at us right now tonight with the crowd, the energy, everything. Let's just make sure we get out of this thing unharmed and regroup for game number 4. And because they know the importance of this. And Utah, you got to get greedy. Like, I got to imagine, when you're a coach and you got a team down, it's like, okay, let's not just win this thing. Let's make sure that they know they never had a chance in this thing. And to go up 3-1 against the Knights, they'll be done. They will be done. You might be able to close that thing out in Vegas.
And the beautiful part about it, Scotty, is it's in your control.
Yeah.
You have a game tonight. It's on your home ice in that crazy environment that will be every bit as crazy in there tonight. But, yeah, it is an opportunity for the Mammoth, the young Mammoth, to take a huge step, get this thing 3-1. It's setting up very, very nice, but the complete domination is what stands out to me. And you said it, the number of shots on goal. There were 20-plus shots that didn't even make it because of the active sticks, blocking shots before they even got to shots. But Veggie, to me, has been the key to this thing.
Oh, good.
He was so good the other night, and Jay said it. He said Veggie has to win this thing for the Mammoth. Well, he won. He was a huge part of why they won the other night.
Veggie has been awesome, and he needed a game where he showed like he was the best goalie out on the ice, and he absolutely did that in that game. Now, again, 2 goals late, whatever. They were up 4-0 in the third. That's all that matters. And when you look at who's performing the best out of he and Hart, it's him times 10. I mean, Hart got just blitzed in that game. Absolutely blitzed and embarrassed. The Mammoth, you look at all the – okay, so you got this shot discrepancy, which is crazy. But what was the other thing about the Mammoth the Knights that we talked about going into the series was how great of a power play team they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
They were 0 for 4 in that game.
Right. And really, Mammoth handled the power plays great, made them work really hard, didn't make mistakes, kept pressure on them, and then were able to clear the puck and get new lines. I thought they handled the power plays great.
Are you I will say, like, last year I felt like my knowledge of hockey went from like 0 to 60 pretty quick. But then this year it feels like I'm like, when you start to really figure out the nuances of this thing, it's a fascinating sport. I love it. I am so in on NHL right now. I
am too. And honestly, this weekend, we had opportunities to watch. There were competing leagues.
Yeah.
The NBA, and believe me, I'll catch my NBA. But don't think for a second that hockey lost out, because there were games that I just had to watch. The Anaheim-Edmonton game came down to a review last night. Whether the puck actually crossed the line, there's no video evidence that it did. You can assume it did by where it was, but they ended up giving them the goal and a 3-1 lead, which we just talked about, which is huge. So for Edmonton to have to come back, the Mammoth are in a really great spot, because that's a favorable matchup in the second round if they can continue to do what they're doing.
So you got Dylan Guenther with a power play goal. You got Clayton Keller with 2 assists. Mackenzie Weegar has a goal and an assist. Everybody's pitching in at this point. Everybody's getting it done. Cooley, needs to be the guy some nights, and other nights he can kind of take a step back a little bit, because he's going to be the point of emphasis going forward for Vegas and any other team that they play. The other element to this too, by the way, and I don't know this for certain, and this is kind of changing the subject a little bit, but I know that you're close with a lot of people over at SEG. I am as well. And there was a pregame press conference with the commissioner and Ryan Smith. And somebody asked Ryan if the Mammoth making a deep run, and when I say deep run, I mean winning this series and going to the next series, how much that impacts the timeline for the renovations. And the way Ryan was very diplomatic, the way he answered it, and was like, hey, look, the thing is the thing. The most important thing is the most important thing, and that's winning games in hockey. But then he looks over at Jim Olsen, who's the president of the Jazz, but also is the godfather of Ryan has essentially handed him the renovation and said, do it, get it done. But then he looks over at Jim and he's like, I don't know if Jim is really a diehard hockey fan right now or a Mammoth fan right now.
It's kind of getting in the way a little bit.
There is a bit of a conundrum. I've got to imagine that if the Mammoth do win this series, that there are some people over there on that renovation project going like, we're supposed to have this thing done by September of next year, at least half of the upper bowl. I think there's a little bit of like trepidation about, oh boy, this team wasn't supposed to be this good this fast.
Well, but they wouldn't trade it.
Oh,
I'll promise you
not
that.
a second. I just think it's going to be.
No, I know it is.
It's
funny,
an interesting
though.
conundrum.
Absolutely, and the inner workings. The one thing I will tell you, they'll find a way. Even if they're working, shifts from 1 a.m. to 6, and they get everything cleaned up and get out of there. I have actually been working there for the last couple of years, and it is not out of the ordinary. As I'm walking up the ramp to go to the 5th floor to the radio studio, to pass, a whole group of construction guys just getting done for the day that went in and did the work they could do. So humongous project, but I'm for let's make them wait.
Yeah.
Make them wait. Let's figure this out. We'll figure it out. But the Mammoth, the thing is the thing.
The thing is the thing.
Yeah.
And that is essentially what has been really fun, because the more this team wins, the more this place wraps their arms around this team. Look, the problem that I think that the Jazz have right now, not only is the hockey team winning, but they're just so freaking likable. Like the Mammoths are really, really likable. And I'm not saying the Jazz are not likable, but there's always been, there's kind of this insulation between NBA players. And I'm not just saying Jazz. I'm talking about the NBA. They insulate their players away from the general public a little bit. And hockey, it's like, no, these dudes are in the community. They're doing everything. They want to be a part of the community. These guys have embraced Salt Lake City. They want to be here. They've re-signed to stay here for a long time. Like, these players have gone like, we're all in. And then, there's that adage of, well, okay, NBA players really don't want to be in Salt Lake City. And so there's always kind of like this chasm between the two, whether it's real or not. There's always like, well, we can't really trust that you'll be part of our team long term, or I don't want to buy your jersey because, in 2 years you may want to leave and I have a jersey. Like, you can go buy a Clay or a Logan Cooley jersey and know that you can wear that for a long, long time. You can buy a Dylan Guenther jersey and know that jersey's going to be there for a long, long time, because these dudes aren't going anywhere. They love it here. And the Mammoth fans love them. I mean, it is a perfect scenario here.
It's crazy, but Utah will, if it is already in a lot of instances, but as with this success and the facilities and the youth that they already have, in the program, the future drafts, like the Mammoth, this is going to be a destination location for the NHL. I have already heard rumblings when teams come through and see what they're dealing with here. You think about, the majority of a ton of the NHL are Canadians, a lot of Canadians, a lot of Europeans. They come here, see the mountains, see the snow, see the, pretty safe feeling that, you feel when you come here. And yeah, these guys are falling in love with it. And so to me, this is just the absolute beginning. And if the beginning, like you said, they can make a deep run, they're ahead of schedule. And the future, the future is so bright. I wish I had my shades.
I wish I had shades. 10:20, great song. 10:25, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, just kicking off your 10 o'clock hour. Coming up next, the NFL draft is in the rearview mirror, so we will recap that, who players from the state of Utah went in that draft, and maybe actually your Raiders actually may have had a really good draft.
Well, again, Anaheim's beating Edmonton. There's a LaComb on that roster.
Yeah.
So let's just look for all the signs. But, yeah, the Raiders, I'm telling you, that's where I'm going to get in Lloyd's good graces. When we start winning championships together.
When did you get out of my good graces?
I don't know. Just some of the looks you give me, dude.
Hey,
what are you talking about?
I don't think you understand how, intimidating you can be.
Oh, you need to stop.
No, I mean,
You need to stop.
You genuinely put the fear into all of us a lot.
But especially the new guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
All right.
I mean, there's just a ton of respect there. I guess that's yes. Don't
Is
look
there,
at me and
though?
say yes.
Are you
there
sure?
is.
It's okay.
See, that's what he does. He
You give a compliment.
He gaslights you.
Gaslight.
Yeah. 97.5, the KSL
Poor
Sports Zone.
Jessica.
NFL draft recap next.
Utes, Cougars, and Aggies. When it comes to sports in Utah, we've got you covered. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Scott Garrard, the coach, Tim LaComb. Busy weekend. We talked a little hockey, but NFL draft is in the rearview mirror. And, you got some local players taken. Obviously, the two Utes, Fano and Lomu, go in the first round. But then, sixth round, it was good to see Jack Kelly go to the New York Giants. Carson Ryan then goes in the seventh round to Cleveland. And Dallin Bentley ends up going to Denver, where he's going to compete against Caleb Lohner, former Ute and Cougar and Baylor basketball player.
Yeah, it was great to see Kelly go. I'm a believer in Jack Kelly.
Oh, I am too.
He will be a household name in the NFL. I think he went to a great team too.
Yep.
I think it all fits him. But I enjoyed watching him play. I think he's got the perfect mix of that speed, but he sniffs stuff out. He's really, really instinctive, and then he's got the physicality to finish plays. Love the kid. Love watching him play. I think he's going to be a real success.
I think he's going to be really good. I think Carson Ryan's got a chance to be really good with his ability to block. There's a lot of really good tight ends in the league. A lot of them don't enjoy that part of the game that much.
Yeah, if you lean into blocking, you get a little better chance. Yeah.
Absolutely. Dallin Bentley, I think that the sky's the limit for him. Obviously a little raw, but I think he's got an opportunity. And it's the second year in a row that Denver has used a seventh-round pick on a tight end from the University of Utah. And
you talked about it. I mean, it's a thing. Sean Payton talks all the time about knowing what you're going to get when you get a Utah guy.
Yep. And I think now it's just becoming a kind of a joke. Well, not a joke, but, kind of a running gag with the media in Denver. As I was talking to a couple of them, they're like, well, we got another one of your guys. I'm like, they're not my guys.
Alumni chapter.
But they're like, yeah, we got the Utah wing of the practice facility over here. But you know what? I'm sure there were probably places where you recruited and you knew that if a player was coming from a certain system or a certain coach, that you were like, okay, you know what? I can trust that this kid is going to be at this level in terms of IQ at least.
Absolutely. Quincy Lewis was a guy like that for us. We loved knowing that guys are held accountable. They're certainly being taught the right stuff. There's development taking place. And those are the things you hope for. The wins and losses, obviously, that's going to be indicative of who they've got around them. But that's important. But to me, it's knowing they're in a spot where every single day they're trying to become better players and better people. And, that was Lone Peak for us for a long time when Quince was there.
All right. So I don't want you to, unless you want to, you can, share any examples. But on the flip side, were there schools that you would avoid? Not necessarily in state, but just around. You're like, kids that come from there, we haven't had a lot of success with.
Basically, it really was. You could not just write a kid off based on the locale.
Yeah,
you had to dig in enough, and where maybe that program was deficient, it would just be good to know going in.
Yeah.
But no, not necessarily like completely write things off. But there were guys that certain people that you would prefer not to have to deal with if you didn't have to, because there are, just like in life, there's really good coaches and great guys to deal with, and then there's not. So
there's sometimes you'd be sitting around and watching film on a kid, and coach would walk in, be like, yeah, I like this kid. He looks good. Where's he playing? You're like, you're not going to like this.
Nacogdoches.
He's this guy. He's like, oh, we got to talk to that coach again. Ugh.
No, it happens, and people are people, so there is a negotiation taking place in the recruiting process. It looks fairly one-sided. The coach, the school recruiting the kid, but the kid's recruiting the coach every bit as much. And you're trying to look for signs that this is going to fit. And I mean, that's what you're doing in the NFL draft. You're just trying to find like-minded guys to your culture that have a heck of a lot of talent, but not just. And they haven't shown it all. You can see there's more to go.
Especially when you're picking, guys in the 5th, 6th, 7th round, and they're probably going to be projects, and you're trying to. But as long as they come in with the right attitude, then you can work with it.
And again, that's maybe in the NFL where you do lean into those basically definite destinations that players come in, and they're ready to go. They understand technique. They understand terminology. I mean, there's so many things that go into just running one play, right? So a lot of those things have to line up, and Utah's been that place for a lot of places, but for Denver, it stands out for sure.
So the reason I bring that up is because Ron McBride on a Football Friday, which, by the way, you're going to love that.
Dude, I can't wait. I love that man.
He and Alema Harrington are just awesome, but Ron McBride doesn't hold back with opinions, as you would expect, and he was telling us, and he even named the school, someplace in California, where he's like, I got burnt by a couple kids there, and I swore I'd never take another kid from that high school ever again. And I kept passing them up, and they kept going to college and being nothing because that was a horrible culture there. And I told myself I was never going to.
But he just said it.
Oh, yeah, I can't even remember. This was many, many years ago. But
he's got too many friends. You know, Ron's got so many friends that if he does talk about somebody, they probably are an idiot.
Yeah.
Period. You know how I met Ron McBride? I was a student at the University of Utah. I was working for Rick at the time. But I had gone on a personal trip, and I'd come back to the airport. I was waiting for my bag, and, I look over to my left, and Coach McBride's there. I'm not one of those people that go up and say, hey, I just want to say hello. Never have been, never will be. But I was just standing there, and then all of a sudden, a bag starts coming down, and he walks closer to me. I think it's his bag. I moved to get out of the way, and he's like, where'd you come from? And he starts to engage in a conversation with me. So we start chatting, and he finds out I work for Rick, and he gets a couple laughs, knowing what I'm going through at the time.
Yeah.
But it just shows you, he's just a guy who loves life and loves people. And, you hear about all the former players he had talk about him.
Oh, yeah. Take a bullet for him.
I mean, and honestly, the University of Utah, when he got there, I was in the muss. I mean, it wasn't the muss, and there were about 4 rows of us. I mean, that's who went to football games. And there was notoriously a rubber chicken always flying around. It was just something to go do on Saturday.
It wasn't it was something to do, not something to go watch a win.
But when he and Lavelle were friends, and that was all great. But when he started beating him time after time, I mean, there was a period of time where my PIN code was 3431. I was at Utah. That was my PIN code to get into my banks and all that. It's not anymore, so don't try it now. Yeah. But yeah, that dude. As much as I want to talk about Kyle. And like McBride was the guy who came in there, much like Cleve at BYU in basketball. Come in, set the culture, set the temperature so that everybody can grow.
And 1,000%, that's where Utah football is where it's at now, is because of Ron McBride.
No question. Because
there's no Urban Meyer if there's no Ron McBride. There's no Kyle Whittingham taking over for Urban Meyer if there's no Ron McBride. I mean, it absolutely set the dominoes. To not just because I think Utah, like BYU is high tide and it lifted all boats in the old WAC, especially Utah. And then Utah came in and it was their turn to be high tide. And I think they lifted BYU to a certain extent. I know BYU fans don't like hearing that, but I think when Utah got into the Pac-12 and BYU's independent and they're like, we got to hang in there. We got to hang in there and do everything we can to make this thing viable. So when a spot opens up in the Big 12, we can go toe-to-toe. And right now, they're as even as we've seen. In fact, BYU BYU does have the lead right now after back-to-back wins. So right now, it's shifted back to BYU. And in about 5 or 6 years, it'll shift and go the other way. That's what makes this rivalry so much fun.
And the weird part for me being on both sides of that is to actually see it. And see it work in motion. Obviously the guys there are trying to do everything they can, but it's these external factors. You mentioned it. I lived when Utah got that Pac-12 announcement. We're recruiting against them, right? We're in the same league. All of a sudden that thing happens, and BYU's trying to find a place, and all of a sudden Utah's on top of the mountain up there for a couple of years with a major advantage. I mean, I would call local kids and start talking to them, and they're like, and Mason Folta, a perfect example. 3 years prior to that, Mason would have, I feel like we could have got Mason done fast because there was the relationships were solid. His family, they're about the best people you'll ever meet. But that was a guy we would go get without any question. Jordan Leverage, another one. We'd just go get him. And that thing happened. And man, it was like getting knives to gut. You were in a position of power and then all of a sudden you're the one that's trying to figure out, where is my angle here? How do we recruit these kids? Because You start talking to them. Is that where all those high school, because they're hearing all this stuff,
all the high school gyms
and all that,
yeah.
right? And I have to tell you, my first time walking out, our first road game in the WCC, we played at LMU. Oof. And you've been at that gym.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. They play a ton of like AAU events there through the years. It screams recreational gym.
Yeah.
Okay. The seats come out like high school seats come out. There was literally like a jazz band playing down on the bass line. And all this for about 370 people or something. Like it was really depressing.
Yeah.
So the year before, you go from the pit, you're doing all these crazy things. We're on the heels of Jimmer doing his thing. We've got a stronghold on the Mountain West Conference. And then all of a sudden, we are knocked out of our perch, and we're fighting like crazy. And honestly, we spent the rest of my time at BYU trying to dig out. The toll of sending basketball to WCC will never necessarily be talked about, but it should be, because again, you just said it, for no fault of our own,
yeah,
and totally cyclical things that are happening in college sports. That was our lot, and then we just tried to figure it out.
And I don't. I think it's something Tom had to do.
Oh, no question. I don't begrudge it at all.
But the collateral damage was just significant.
It was. But the bottom line is football pays all bills.
Yeah.
And we all know that in college athletics.
How hard is that to swallow, though, when you're in those basketball offices? Are you just like, well, that's just how it is? Or
I mean, it's not like there is a endless supply of money. You got to pick and choose. It is, at the end of the day, a business, and you got to keep everything afloat. It's not the best feeling, but you understand it. I mean, our gym was 20,000. We did a great job of filling it every night, or trying to. Again, that was a huge part of what Steve Cleveland and Dave Rose did. They got that thing back to full and exciting, and people wanted to be there. But at the end of the day, it was 20,000, and the other one was 65.
Yeah.
Right. And college football is the beast. I mean, it just is.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. What you may have missed coming up next, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Spring is in the air, which means now is the time to save during spring outdoor power deals at the Home Depot. Make cleanup easier when you go cordless with the Milwaukee M18 string trimmer, designed to deliver more runtime, more speed, and maximum performance. Then grab a select Milwaukee fuel attachment, like the pole saw, edger, or brush cutter, included at no extra cost when you buy the Milwaukee M18 string trimmer. Shop 7 days of spring outdoor power deals at the Home Depot, now through April 29th.
You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ducks possess the puck. It's Ryan Baling to the front. Off a skate towards the net. And it's stopped by Dari near the goal line. Poking away. Scramble. Ducks think they have won the game, but there is no signal from the officials.
After review, the puck completely crossed the goal line.
Ryan Baling wins the game in overtime, and the Anaheim Ducks take a stranglehold on the series with the two-time defending Western Conference champion Edmonton Oilers. They'll have a chance to close it out Tuesday night at Rogers Place after a 4-3 overtime victory in Game 4.
So all of us here in Salt Lake were scared to death about facing off against the Oilers in the first round. Maybe that wouldn't have been a bad thing. Oilers down 3-1 to Anaheim. And I know Anaheim came in hot, but still. Whew.
I don't know, man. We only had one win, and we got it. So
and it was a crazy one too. I know.
And sometimes those matchups are real. Like it doesn't make any sense, but sometimes you just really struggle with certain matchups. And in that instance, it's far better. Let Anaheim beat them.
Yeah. And
then we'll take our chances with them.
Yes. Oh yeah, I'm completely on board with that. But you look at them being down 3-1, and as you pointed out in the first segment, the stats are not in the Oilers' favor. Only about a 10% chance in last 320 games or something like that?
Yeah, last time it was 2023, and it was the Florida Panthers, and they ended up going to the Stanley Cup and losing. But that was the last time a team came back from down 3-1.
Yeah. The likelihood of that happening is pretty slim. But overall, there's so many great games in the NHL. You go back to the weekend and you look back, especially on last night. Not only did you have that overtime game, but you got the Sabres that are up 3-1. They just beat up on Boston. And not surprisingly, the Kings are done as they get knocked out in 4 games. The Avalanche, as that thing is just steamrolling.
They are an avalanche, and they're just wiping everybody out.
5-1. Then the Lightning get the victory. So that series is all tied up at 2 apiece. And as we mentioned in OT, it was the Ducks getting the 4-3 victory over the Oilers. And the Oilers are still red hot about that, too.
Oh, absolutely. And rightfully so. It is a huge pivotal swing from 3-1 to 2-2. And the bottom line is you couldn't see it. You can assume that it was all the way across the line, but there is no video proof. And I was listening this morning to a podcast. The official was out of position, was not behind the net where it should have been, got there late, and was not right immediately when they got a look. Both hands went up like, we got to take a look at this. So, it's a tough one. More than likely it was a goal, but by the rule, pretty frustrating.
Yeah, tough one. All right, so instant replay, fan or no? Just in general.
Yeah, to a certain extent, but the problem is you can't keep it to a certain extent. I mean, we sit and review ththings all game long that don't mean nothing.
Yeah.
They mean nothing, really. And then there are pivotal plays, and I've said it. The 2-minute report they should just walk you in and punch you in the face and add insult to injury, because that's all that does. It's so easy for them to say in a couple paragraphs, we were wrong here. So they still can be wrong with instant replay. To me, at least on the NBA side, an incredible waste of time on most things. It has opened my eyes to how many times officials miss out of bounds calls.
Oh, yeah.
That we just lived with and kind of ate forever. I just don't know how you streamline it. I like it to a certain extent, but I don't know how you streamline it to get rid of all of the delay.
And Jared Calhoun had a great line. He's like, these kids watch so much NBA now. He goes, if there's anything even remotely close, all of a sudden you just see them waving their finger around.
Oh, I hate it.
And I keep having to yell at my guys like, okay, number one, that's not even reviewable. Keep your mind in the game. We're not, even if it is reviewable, I'll let you know if we're reviewing it. But you'll see a kid, turn a ball over and he starts throwing his finger up in the air and giving up a fast break on the other end because he thought he was fouled and he wants it reviewed. It's like, can you at least wait until a stoppage of play before you lose your mind?
I was watching a youth Bantam game this year because I was, involved with that. And we got the kids over there. Obviously, guys, this isn't being filmed, but they're calling a review. I don't know if they're expecting the Holy Ghost to fly down and use one of its forms to make a call or something. But to me, it's in the fabric now, though. We had these young kids just, ball went out of bounds. Look, dude, you're 7. Run back there and play defense now.
By the way, like with baseball, with the review on strikes and all that, like we're teaching the kids to anything close, you got to be swinging on strike 2 if you have 2 strikes, anything close. And now it's like they're not swinging, there's no aggression, and they're just like, let's review.
Are you seeing that at all in Little League?
No.
Give it time.
I will lose my mind if we get to that point.
It's coming, unfortunately. All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Kick off your 11 o'clock hour. Mike Folta will join us coming up at high noon, so we will chat with him, see if we can keep those good vibes going. And, honestly, I think that we need to, the more I think about this, and as we build out this show, you have brought a ton of good karma to this show.
Tried. Good just being me.
Good vibe, Tim. And I think that, so back in the day, when Hans and I started the show, we tried this thing called Friday Shoutouts. And I thought it would be a really good opportunity for us to interact with the listeners. And so, via text or, I think even then we took phone calls back in the day or tweets. If you had something like a big job interview or something, you just needed a hype guy that we were there to help you out. And Hans hated that segment, hated it and purposely sabotaged it. And by the way, this isn't
only liked good vibes for himself.
Yeah, this is not sour grapes. It's just Hans will be the first to admit it. He flat out ran that thing right into the ground.
For me.
He did not like it.
And so that thing crashed and burned. But I think you're a little bit more good vibes.
Yeah.
And so I think, we're going to work that into a segment where, look, if you need some good vibes in your life, you need a little Coach Karma, we got you covered.
It would be like one of those televangelists. Just walk towards your television and touch
Yes.
it. Yeah, I'll send them somehow, some way, maybe Wi-Fi, Ethernet.
Hey, you know what? We got things taking different forms. We got all different kinds of ways to help you here.
This is a great world we live in. Lloyd Cole.
I'm already seeing Tim out on remote doing this and having his hand up in the air and just healed.
Hey, believe me, if we get some momentum to this, my ego will go through the roof, and yeah, we'll righteous gemstone it.
Oh, I love that show. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I was, you and Lloyd confirmed it, but remember that dude that was on like a boogie board or something like that? And was
Ocean spray.
And was just drinking.
That's what it was. It was an ocean spray.
Drinking his ocean spray and
cranberry juice.
And listening to this.
I think he even got like lifetime cranberry juice or
he
something.
Should have.
I mean, he was just chilling on the board, right?
Wasn't that during COVID?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Right around that time, for sure.
Just on a skateboard.
Just enjoying life.
And honestly, that to me that's the ideal. He didn't care. He didn't care what was going on around him.
That dude could have had all the horrible things going on in his life. Doesn't matter. I'm good.
Just chilling.
I got my cranberry juice. The weather's nice. Like you were saying, you and the family got in the hot tub. The rain was coming down. You're like, there's nothing that's going to bother you at that point.
Yeah, my Sundays are heaven sent right now. I'll tell you what, we get everybody at the house. And, I've got 3 grandkids now. My son Sam turns 27 today. Happy birthday, Sammy.
Happy birthday, Sammy.
Got a lot of great things from his mother, thank God, because he's been a successful kid. But they're expecting. So we've got 3 grandkids, a set of twins that will just melt your face. They're so cute, and they're in that 6-month stage right now where they're laughing and responding. But
then they start when they I'm sure they're going to get mobile here very quickly if they're not already, and then that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, you got a whole process of making sure your house is baby proofed at that point. Right now, the nice piece is right now they're like a pin.
Yeah.
On your phone. You just put them somewhere and they're there. And that will change soon. But no, Sundays with the family, dude, that's what it's all about. Nothing better. And we had an awesome day yesterday. My wife made chicken parmesan.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Yeah, it was very good.
We did the old Hawaiian haystacks yesterday. Good old LDS tradition.
The key to those haystacks is the little the noodles.
Yes, you got to have the crunchy noodles.
Yeah, that crunch in there is everything.
That's
me.
That's something that we here in Utah, we just said, you know what, we're going to call this Hawaiian and we're just going to run with it. And it has I guess maybe some people put some pineapple on it. I guess that's the only way that you could call it a Hawaiian anything.
Can you imagine going over to Hawaii and being so disappointed because you've saved your money to get there? You just want to go to Hawaii and have a haystack.
Yeah, like
everybody looks at you.
Where's a good place for a haystack?
Chicken, noodles, rice, and pineapple. What? What are you talking about?
All right, so up at Utah State, and I'm selling them out a little bit here on this, but it comes from a good place. So their football games, they try to match the press box mill to the team that's coming in. And so if Boise's coming in, then it's a potato bar, and it's like, well, wait, wouldn't you want to showcase what you have instead of, because, the Idaho media coming in, like, they got potatoes like crazy. So, like, why serve them?
Sick of potatoes.
They're tired of potatoes. Like, but, they always like to kind of match. And sure enough, when the University of Hawaii came in, we had haystacks.
Yes. And they're looking at like,
what is this?
Jake, what?
I'm talking to their play-by-play guy. He's like, I do not know what this is. I'm like, I just run with it.
You do. The one thing I will say with those, you have to be careful if you take a bite and one of those noodles gets vertical.
Oh, yeah.
And roof of mouth is, you got to be really careful with that because you're dealing with a couple different textures.
All right. Hey, NBA action yesterday. Oh, by the way, how about this? You were just loving up Lloyd during the break. Colton tweets in, all it took was Tim LaComb to join the show for Lloyd to start playing good bumper music for once. Wow. Colton?
Colton, you're, if I'm not following you, I will. You're going to become one of my favorites.
Yeah, but a little bit of a backhanded compliment for our guy.
But it is. I love the music we got going today.
I know.
This is
dude's on a run.
Yeah, it's got a vibe, right? And this vibes.
All right, so you look at the NBA. Can we look at the Denver Nuggets and say they're done?
Yes. They are done. Absolutely.
The window was open. They won a title, and now it's shut, and it's rebuild time.
Yeah, we were talking about haystacks just a minute ago. The tool to mess with those is a pitchfork. Put a pitchfork in those dudes. They are done. And we talked about it. The big issue they had was the defense. I think Minnesota really, in Game 2, became privy to the fact, hey, let's lower our head. Let's make everything physical. Let's make everything a play at the rim. And, it's shown Denver doesn't want any part of it. It was interesting they wanted to fight after the game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's something we would tell our team sometimes, you get chippy late because we just got outplayed. And it'd been nice if you wanted to fight to start the game, not at the end.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they're done. And the Timberwolves, once again, kind of finding new life in the playoffs, proving that you got a top-line guy like Ant. You've got a big guy in the middle that can protect the rim, and I will give Rudy Gobert a ton of credit here. I said in the very Game 1, because Game 1 went just like all Rudy Gobert's playoff series in the past. They played him off the floor. He was a -9 in the first 10 minutes. And so they took him out, and they were able to kind of make the game closer. But from that point on, Rudy Gobert's really dominated the series.
And, overall, too, Rudy in his, 11th, 12th year?
Yes.
Is still impacts a game when he's allowed to impact a game like he was, is still I don't know, can we still call him at his best, still a top defender in the league?
Well, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, because he, the thing that's great about Rudy is there are so many shots that teams can't even take because he's in the vicinity. He is so good in ball screen. He really only guards ball screen one way in the drop cover, but he's mastered it. And he's done a great job this series being a killer rebounder. He's doing the things you need a big guy to do. You run the floor to stretch it, vertically in transition, and he does that every time. He's a great screener. So in ball screens, he's great at giving the ball handler an advantage, which is what the game's made to do. And then he's one of the best rim threats in terms of rolling down the middle of the floor and that you've got to account for. So at his best, he's great. And I think I think he's finally kind of just leaning into that, it feels like. And the nice part is his teammates when he first got there, there was some, punches thrown. There was not a great community there. They absolutely love the guy. They've got his back. And, the Timberwolves will advance in that series, setting up, a really good possible second series against the Spurs.
So you've got Rudy playing, again, elite basketball, elite defensive basketball, helping Minnesota win a game. So I got to imagine longtime hater of Rudy Gobert, Shaquille O'Neal, has got to be on board, right? He finally, you're going to see Shaq give Rudy Gobert his due, credit.
I said it's time for Rudy to step up and say, I got Joker. And I said Edwards had to do the same thing to Jamal Murray, because those are the two strings. They make everything go. I got to give Rudy Gobert his flowers.
Now's the time to save on new carpet at the Home Depot. Receive 10% off your total carpet project and 12 months special financing. Plus, we'll measure your space for free. Choose from a variety of stylish, on-trend options fit for everyday life. With LifeProof with PetProof technology, Home Decorators Collection, and Traffic Master Carpets. Save 10% and get 12 months special financing now at the Home Depot. Offer valid April 16th through May 3rd, 2026. Exclusions apply. For licenses, see homedepot.com/license numbers.
Joker's shooting a lot, too, because they might not let him get assists. He is earning that reputation. He's guarding him mano, and you got to give him his flowers, Shaquille. I know you and Rudy ain't the best of friends.
Future Hall of Fame, four-time Defensive Player of the Year.
But in fairness, Jalen, this is, in my opinion.
I hate when y'all do that.
Give him flowers?
No, I hate when y'all do that.
The three-time MVP and champion.
Hold on. Do you understand the law of averages? Let me explain it to you. The Joker has dominated him a lot, right?
Yes.
No? Okay, so he has one bad game, right? He has one bad game.
He's had two.
Well, okay, 2 bad games. So now you're saying Rudy is shutting him down? That's what you're saying to me right now.
He has. He's shut him down.
Bro, just because you miss a shot and have a bad game doesn't mean the defense is shutting you down.
He's shooting some open shots, but a couple of those highlights, those are getting blocked, Diesel.
Everybody except me gets a shot blocked, except for Yao Ming. Yeah, Yao Ming blocked my shot 3 times in a row.
No, but you got to give him flowers, Shaq.
Would you admit, though, Joker in this series shooting 40%, 21% from deep, this Joker is not having a good series. Not like it's one bad game.
Yeah, but when you're a great player like Joker, like Chuck, even like Jalen, we don't think people stop us. We're just off. We're just having bad games. So I don't want to listen.
Well, why the hesitancy to say, hey, Rudy Gobert is a factor in this?
Can I finish?
Please.
Rudy himself said, hey, I'm making it tough for him. I'm making it hard for him. I'm trying to be in his face every shot. And that's all you can do. But when you're a guy like Joker, you're just missing shots. I'm not going to sit up here and say that Rudy Gobert shut him down. I'm never going to say that.
He just can't. He can't do it. He just could not do it.
He has backed himself into a corner so badly.
I don't know whether I respect him for just saying, you know what, I'm just going to be oblivious. It's like arguing with Jake Scott. And I know that you and Jake have done a lot of radio.
I don't argue with Jake.
Because he's impossible to argue with. Because the dude will put his heels in the ground. You're like, Jake will come in and be like, hey, did you see the sky? It was green today. And you're like, no, it was blue. Like, no, it was green. And you're like, Jake, like, look, the window's right there. You can see I don't know, it's green to me. You're like, no, look. But it's like the same thing with Shaq. Like, he's digging his heels in. Like, I don't care if he gets 20 block shots in a game. The other guy was just off.
One thing I've learned.
And by the way, I love you, Jake.
Oh, we love Jake.
That's no shot.
No, hey, we all got our stuff.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing I'll say is I have seen a lot of former players who, it's almost like I said when a guy is an assistant coach and he gets a head coaching job, there's an instant lobotomy that takes place internally. They lose their mind a teeny bit. I will say the same when a guy finishes playing, their time playing and their contribution to the game is probably in the neighborhood of 25 to 30% more than it was.
And by the way, that's anybody. You go to your high school reunion.
And it's growing all the time.
Your guys, your high school teammates will think they were better than they were.
Right. And what's crazy is Shaq was the most dominant big man in the old game. But the game's different now.
Yeah.
And I would like to see him out there guarding all these ball screens. I mean, he'd have been a mess. And a lot of the same, chops he takes at Rudy Gobert, he would have been chopped himself. So to me, it's major ego. But I also believe it's a little bit of shtick.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's not forget. I watched 2 of the first 2 episodes of the Hulk Hogan documentary on Netflix. And there are a lot of similarities. I mean, both WWE, NBA are trying to sell tickets. So what Shaq ends up being is a carnival barker.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to say what he's going to say, and he's never going to apologize. And, he's going to be right every now and again. But in this instance, he's dead wrong. I mean, in the postseason, in 4 games, Joker's actually playing more minutes than in the regular season. He's playing 5 more minutes a game. His field goal percentage in 4 games is down from 57 on the season to 39. His 3-point percentage from 38 to 18. His assists are down from 10 to 7.8. And he's down scoring 25 from 27.7 to 25. So there is a lot going on in this series, but I will say if Joker's missing shots, because he doesn't go on a long streak of missing shots. I just went through his field goal percentages on an entire season. Rudy's doing some really good things here, and he's making it hard for Joker.
And he deserves, as Barkley would say, his flowers.
100%. And Charles is dead on right.
And I think it's okay to take a step back and say, you know what, I'll give you that. It's like how Shaq was with Donovan Mitchell for so many years. Like, you're not an elite player. You're not. Like, it kind of is. It's okay. It's okay to be like, you know what, at one point you weren't. And now You are. So I'm going to give you that. Like, you don't necessarily need to bury your head in the ground and just be like, no. The interesting thing is, though, that you're seeing a team in Denver, and I think this is a good thing for the league. Me personally, this is what I do not like ultra dynasties. Like, yeah. I am not a fan of teams. Like, when we saw the Cavs and the Warriors play in the NBA Finals for, 4 consecutive years, it's like, that's not fun for me. Like, I don't enjoy that. And to see a team rise up, win, and then come back down to earth, I'm all for it. Denver came up, looked like everybody's like, oh, they're going to win 3-4 in a row. This team's going to be unstoppable. No, rest of the league caught up, and they weren't able to hold it together. Same thing, Oklahoma City. Everybody thinks they're going to rip off. They'll probably win it again this year, so that'll be 2 in a row. But they'll somehow come back down to earth because the league is now built in such a way where it's not sustainable to be a team that reels off, 4 or 5 or goes to the finals 4 out of 6 years.
Yeah, if you're going to do that, you've got to do it way different than you did in the past.
Yes.
Because contract lengths are so much shorter. You used to lock a guy up. I remember, it's like hockey now. You're locking guys up for 6, 7, 8 years. And in basketball, those windows are shorter. And so, like you speak of the Oklahoma City Thunder, yeah, they're this iteration, I think they are the favorite to win 2 here. Yeah. It's going to get much more difficult next year as San Antonio continues to get stronger, add pieces, move pieces, those types of things. But to me, the windows are shorter, and so it's going to be the front office by finding diamonds in the rough, finding inexpensive players that can come in and play like expensive players in minutes. It's going to be really, really crafty front offices. And so it's not going to be like resting on your laurels. Hey, we got this guy. We're going to lock him up for, 7, 8 years, and we're going to have our run at this thing. You're going to have to be way better in and around the margins.
I mean, you look at I'm just looking at Oklahoma City. So Shea's at 38. He'll be at 40, and then 63 and 68 million. Lou Dort is on a team option next year. Caruso is at 18. He'll make 19, 20, 22. Chet Holmgren, this is where it's going to get real rough for him. He's at 13 million, and then his max hits next year where he goes from 13 to 41 and 44 million.
And much like the Jazz, like Ace Bailey and whoever they draft this year, they've got to be those guys.
Yep.
They've got to punch above their weight in those salary slots to give that jump.
And you got Jalen Williams, who's at 6.5 million. He jumps to 41 next year.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's, with the apron in place, it's not sustainable for Oklahoma City.
No, and so, again, then they've got to decide who stays, who goes, what do we get for these guys,
Yep.
How do we continue to build this going forward. It's to me, it probably one of the harder things there is to do because you have to take so many things into account. We talked about just all the intel on the player, but then you got to figure out, how they fit the system, how the timeline works with the ages of your team. It's wild. So I'm glad I'm sitting here and we just get to kind of like tour it, like a tour of Italy when you go to Olive Garden. I'll try some of that, but then we can move on.
Yeah. You're like, I wasn't feeling the marinara. Let's go to the Alfredo.
Bring me the Fred.
Yeah.
What's my go-to at a high-level spaghetti or, pasta place is a carbonara.
I knew we were
Is that
soulmates.
You?
Yeah.
I'm a carbonara man.
By the way, Valters, carbonara, can't beat it.
I think that's where we need to take the wives.
Yeah. And just wait till we P-card that one, Lloyd. That'll get people fired up in a hurry.
I don't even have a P-card yet.
You'll get one.
Dude, I've got the garage down, though. I know right where to go.
You got that figured out now?
You didn't go into the college again?
No, I didn't. I didn't have security coming trying to. I was like pulling on the doors. Can we help you? I'm just. You a student at Ensign? Oh, sorry. I'll walk over here.
Yeah.
Did you get any complaints about a vagrant walking the?
You know what? Surprisingly, I didn't.
Because the hoodie or the beanie, Danny Ainge saw me in this one day watching the guys warm up, and he said, "Are you homeless?" So I don't know why I give up.
And then
that
you
vibe.
got Mark Few saying you look like the dude.
The dude
abides,
and he does.
I don't want to say underrated movie because everybody loves that movie. But even then, it's still an underrated.
Underrated.
Movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I did watch that one because there were so many. I don't know. People talk about that one a lot.
Yeah.
So I was like, I gotta go find what that's
Best
about.
character in that movie, not the dude, John Goodman's character.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. By the way, we were around Mike Conley for a long time. And this is the most Mike Conley thing ever. Like, this is Mike Conley. If you want to know who Mike Conley is as a person, this is Mike Conley. Everything you need to know about Mike is right here. So, Jaden McDaniels gets that late bucket. Joker gets all mad. There's that little brouhaha at midcourt, pushing and shoving, guys saying, "Hey, hold me back, please, hold me back." You know that stuff where they
Adams kind of not really.
Yeah, everybody acts tough, and so you got this skirmish, and there's been fines that have been handed out. It got ugly. Did Jaden McDaniels apologize after the game? No, he did not. Did Joker apologize for the dust-up? No, he did not. The one guy who apologized was Mike Conley.
Were you trying to start trouble at the end of the game there?
No, that was a slip-up. That's all me. I take the blame. I apologize to the Denver Nuggets. I apologize to myself, my team, everybody. As soon as I threw it, I looked and I was like, this is Jaden. And I almost put my hands on my head, but I was like, maybe he won't. Maybe. And then as soon as I saw him let the ball, kind of bounce a couple times, it's over. Man. I get crazy.
At least he didn't
see me lower my head. I just knew it.
And you did.
I did. I watched it.
You did see him lower his head.
Oh, no. What did I do?
He's like, oh, boy, this is going to be trouble. It's Jaden.
Hey, every team needs an adult. And Mike is the adult because it's not Joe Ingles.
No.
Joe was probably egging it on.
Oh, he's like, Jaden, are you going to take that? You need to score that last bucket.
Jaden, show it.
I was dying, though. And I was like, the one guy that's going to apologize out of that whole thing, of course, is Mike Conley for just throwing the ball up and throwing it down the court.
I knew when I saw it, he said, I almost put my hands on my head, but he did drop his head. I did love that. That was, to me, the best part of that whole clip.
And he said, look, I apologize to the Denver Nuggets. I apologize to their team. I apologize to their fans. He's like, no, don't apologize, Mike. You don't have to. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
It's time to saddle up and talk about the winners and the losers. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, here's the good.
All right, 11:30 straight up, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. How's that for being on time, Lloyd? Dang.
Man, Alex has got you guys trained.
On the dot. All right, good, the bad, the ugly. So I put this on here because I know you're a Red Sox fan. I know you got members of your family that are Red Sox fans. So I wasn't quite sure if you felt like this was a good or not, so I put it on the good. They absolutely just went scorched earth on that coaching staff. Manager gone, 5 coaches gone. Do you feel better about that move as a Red Sox fan?
That I don't. The problem still exists. It is John Henry's basically refusal to spend money. I could have told you this was happening because I watched the offseason very closely.
Yes.
And they were up for a lot of really, big signings that would have made a difference, move the ball. But what they did, they just kind of stood pat with a toothless lineup. There's no way that they can compete, and it's showing. So they went ahead and fired Alex Cora, who won a World Series. I heard a quote. I don't know who to attribute to, but I heard it in my research. The Red Sox basically messed their pants and changed their shirt.
That's an all-time quote, by the way.
It is, but it's exactly. I mean, when I heard it, I'm like, that is exactly what happened because the same problem still exists, but you've removed something that had nothing to do and is maybe a teeny bit influenced by it. But
Alex Cora will have a job opening day tomorrow or opening day next season.
Absolutely, he will. And the Red Sox are going to have an ugly season, and none of this will do anything more than just make them feel good that it was somebody else's fault.
All right, so you've got somebody's got to explain this to me a little bit, though, because you've got a blue blood Major League Baseball team, a iconic brand. You've got merchandise sales that I got to imagine rival the Yankees. I mean, you think Red Sox, Cubs, Yankees as your top three when it comes to merchandise. You've got probably a sellout nearly every game because people just want to be in that venue and experience that venue. You got to be printing money, and you're in a major market. Like, how are you not making loads of money? Is it just the case that they just want to keep all that money and not spend it?
Yeah, and I think you get too choosy in free agency. You start, nitpicking on things, and you end up with nothing. And that's kind of what they've done. To me, it seems completely foreign to what we're seeing happen here, where basically Ryan's throwing, doing anything he can to build the team. And the way you build the team is they win. The Red Sox, they have tours of Fenway to bring in revenue. They do concerts there. But the sellouts are not happening this year.
Oh, they're not? Okay.
Yeah, so people are starting to kind of, I think, get frustrated by it all.
Like we're
in
done.
Red Sox land.
Well, one thing that are that Red Sox fans are going to be patient. They're not going to be overly boisterous. They're not going to really call for anybody's head. So that probably gives you a little bit of time on your hands.
Yeah, they are really. There's not a lot of that back there. One of the toughest markets, honestly. That is kind of what Boston's known for, is the second guessing and the criticism. If the Red Sox can continue to win World Series every couple of years, I mean, we're not far from where they didn't do any of that for 70 plus.
Yes.
So the fact that they are, they just got to continue to compete. But this year will not be one of those. And it's an example of, as you said, you've got the brand, you've got the park, you've got everything going for you. But for whatever reason, ownership can't get on the same page, and it makes it tough.
All right, there's your good. Let's get to the bad.
Now the bad.
So there was a big draft party. Diego Pavia had this big party ready to go at his house for the draft. And the Heisman Trophy finalist did not get drafted and was not happy about it. So you think he's going to sign as an undrafted free agent. That didn't happen. Finally, he gets offered an invite to the Ravens mini camp, which is a fairly precarious situation to be in because that means the team definitely doesn't have a real vested interest. You're not going to get a lot of reps. You're not going to get a lot of opportunities. So the chances of you just getting a mini camp invite and even making it to training camp are pretty slim. But here's a guy. This is the first time, I want to say, what was it, 2014, I want to say, that there was a Heisman Trophy finalist that did not get drafted. And he's not happy about it. His family's not happy about it. He did it.
This is uncomfortable.
Yeah, super uncomfortable.
I had all the hats. Every team's hat was represented. So now he's got at least a hat for every team.
And you're like, hey, Dad, did you keep the receipts on those hats at least?
Yeah, I'll just run those back to lids.
Yeah, please. Please. It's only been it's been less than a week, so I think the return policy is still in play. The kid is a dynamic force in college football. I mean, he was fun to watch. I called one of his games. Utah State went there last year, and Aggies actually did great against that Vanderbilt defense. I think they ended up scoring 30, 31 points, but they couldn't get stops. They couldn't keep Diego off the field. I mean, that dude was just running around, making play after play after play, scoring touchdowns right and left. So he was a fun player to watch, certainly on a good team, but he's 24 years old and he's 5'9". Sorry, you got both those things working against you, and then, you go and you meet with John Gruden, and John's like, well, is your agent doing some work for you? Well, here's that response.
Now, are you representing yourself, or do you have an agent?
No, I'm representing myself.
Wow.
Yeah. So I didn't think it was fair that someone was going to represent me and take 5 to 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nobody taking my money. I'll tell you that.
It's unbelievable for a young guy to be able to do this, man.
Look, I respect that. And if you're a first-round draft pick, by all means, keep your money. But agents help you make money, so they can't keep any money that you don't make. And he's not making any money right now.
See, 5% of zero.
Yes. is zero.
Man, you did great.
So you can say that, yeah, he didn't get any of your money. The problem is you didn't get any of your money.
But the problem lies deeper than that. If you watch this kid, you see it. He runs all over the field. He creates, he's fun to watch, and he makes big plays. The problem is his mouth.
Yes.
And these guys, there's a lot of options. And, you got a guy who, he seriously is like that little yapping dog or, that's just annoying. He could have really used a little bit of polish, and that piece right there just shows it all. Completely aloof to how this whole thing works. You need agents. If you're not in that front part of the draft, you need agents working like crazy. Bill Duffy was Brandon Davies' agent, and there was a team that was going to draft him really late in the second round, and Duffy had already got a deal worked out for Brandon. So he basically said, "Hey, don't pick him. Don't take him." And he went. I want to say he went to the Clippers as a free agent, and it was a good situation. He actually got time, and so yeah, that's where you need the agent the most, is navigating, because you know how many people are trying to get one of those deals.
Yeah, setting up, using your connections so you get visits. Like, hey, you know what? I'll help you with this contract if you get my guy in. He just needs to get some eyeballs on him. Just bring him out for a visit. Look, don't read all the press clippings. He's a good kid. Just bring him in, meet with your coaches. I promise you're going to like him. Just that stuff to get your foot in the door. But like, a lot of people know about his mouth and what the stuff that he was running in Vanderbilt. And when he didn't win the Heisman Trophy, he wrote, F you voters, which I am one. So, yeah, thank you very much, Diego.
I want to apologize on behalf of him.
Yeah, well, I took it very personally. I was very upset. Although I
feel that you were one of them,
I did have him second.
Well, that's nice.
So, I mean, I voted for him a little bit. But if you go back further, and Vanderbilt did a great job of scrubbing this, no pun intended when I tell you the story. But I'm curious to know if you've heard this story about Diego when he was at New Mexico State. And they're playing in a bowl game at New Mexico, and he's still upset because New Mexico didn't recruit him because he was in so much trouble with the law as a kid. New Mexico wouldn't touch him. So Jerry Kill is the head coach at New Mexico State. You've been to Las Cruces. You know how miserable that place is for football or for anything, just living, period.
Yeah, just making a trip to get gas.
And so Jerry Kill's like, well, I need anybody, so I'll bring you in. So they bring him in. He ends up having some success. New Mexico State has a good team. They play a bowl game in Albuquerque, and he goes into the New Mexico locker room, drops drawers, and takes a whiz on the New Mexico logo, not knowing that there was actually camera angles everywhere, and it was all caught on video. And so he was suspended for like a quarter or something like that. And New Mexico fans are beyond upset. Like, you talk to people about him in Albuquerque, they're just livid with the guy. And so that's the kind of stuff that you get with him that comes along with him. He may be 24 years old, but he's still kind of a 15, 16-year-old in that body.
And things that you do, you're Austin Ainge all the time talking about building the Jazz. You got to stack good decisions.
Yeah.
To me, it's like this kid, he just never emotionally got the training he needed. And I mean, I had no idea about that story, but I'm not surprised by it because there is a certain level. Like, you want to be dominant, you want to be competitive, and you want to be alpha. But there's a certain level where you have to have respect, for your fellow players, for the guys on your team, for the guys in the other locker room. And it's a hard reality. It isn't just about you, Diego.
Yeah.
And so no surprise at all. And unfortunately, there's, for every Diego Pavia story, there's hundreds of them because there's so many talented people that just can't put it all together.
I can't imagine how frustrating that was as a coach when you saw a kid that's got all the talent in the world, like just uber talented, and it's just not there upstairs. And you're just like, what I wouldn't do to be able to climb inside that brain of yours and just take over for a year. I would have you eating the world out of the palm of your hands if you could just figure your stuff out.
I mean, but that is the reason why the guy goes undrafted and not signed.
Yeah.
Because they talk to everybody.
Yes.
They talk to people and they tell the story. He actually urinated on our logo.
Yeah.
Came into our locker room. I mean, How many of those need to be out there? And if he's done that one time, I mean, how many other stories are out there that we have no idea?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is bad.
All right, there's your bad. Let's get to the ugly.
And, of course, the ugly.
So Texas Tech spent all the money to get Brendan Sorsby out of his contract. They get him to transfer to Texas Tech, and now he has left the program on a medical leave of absence. So you're thinking injury, right? No. It's a residential treatment program for a gambling addiction. Texas Tech comment says they are committed to supporting Brendan through his recovery process and to ensure his long-term health and well-being. According to the head coach, Joey McGuire, we love Brendan and support his decision to seek professional help. Taking this step requires courage, and our primary focus is on him as a person. Our program is behind Brendan as he prioritizes his health. This feels like to me, and again, this came out probably about 25 minutes ago. This feels like something somebody does before a story breaks, like trying to get out in front of it. And who knows, maybe something else has broke while you and I have been on the air. But this does feel like this is a precursor to all of a sudden another story coming out about how he's linked to gambling on games, college games, maybe games that he's been involved in. I hope that's not the case. But when I see this, that's what it screams to me.
Well, I'm just reading a little deeper in something I found. It says the NCAA is investigating Sorsby's gambling as the organization forbids athletes from betting on college and pro sports. According to sources, Sorsby bet on Indiana football while redshirting for the Hoosiers as a true freshman. The other one is he's seeking treatment, came in the wake of his discovery of making thousands of online bets. Thousands.
There you go.
Of online bets on a variety of sports via a gambling app, which just jeopardizes his eligibility with Texas Tech.
He is facing a possible full season loss of eligibility. Remember, Texas Tech is now suing him for $1 million or Cincinnati is suing him for $1 million because he essentially signed a contract, broke to go to Texas Tech. So either he or Texas Tech is on the hook for $1 million, and now you throw this onto it. Yeah, no bueno.
And if you look at their backup situation is a little tenuous because Hammond's coming off the ACL.
Yep.
Right. So what looked to be a really solid group, and I am going to make it a point never to say the room thing. I hate that. That QB room's looking. No. They got the quarterback depth, okay? I'm not going room. I hate the room. I hear too many people say room. So
it's a cliche. Everybody uses it now.
Depth. So, that was a position of major strength, and now
PK loves to harp on that too.
The room?
Yeah.
Yeah, why do you have to go to a room? Let's do it out here in the open.
Well, it is actually, they have their own
I understand they've got a room.
They totally do.
I know, but it's...
I'm just saying it because I've been guilty of that.
No, but I'm serious, and I've been listening to the show. You guys know it's in my blood.
Old school P1.
Always. Yeah, I've listened 20-something years. Just turn it on, listen. But without a doubt, everybody that you have on has to throw it in there a couple of times. And it's just an annoying thing to me.
I am on board.
Okay.
Look.
No rooms.
No rooms. From now on, Lloyd, we are banishing rooms from our conversation.
Maybe I'll start calling it the stable.
Oh, there you go.
The quarterback stable.
The barn?
No, it's just going to go depth.
Depth, okay.
And if you use it, I'm not judging you. I'm just trying not to sound like everybody else.
So maybe we'll have a room jar. Anytime somebody uses a room, we got to put $1 in the jar.
There you go. We got to have side games. What's life without a couple wagers? Oh, wait.
Oh, oops.
Sorry, Brandon.
Hey, all of a sudden we got Sorsby calling up. He's like, hey, I want in on this.
I want some of that action.
I would imagine it says that if wagers are greater than $800, it lead to potential loss of 30% of the season, unless he's betting pennies for those thousands of bets. I think we're well past that.
I don't think these are penny stocks he's throwing that on.
We're well past that.
Did you anticipate that this gambling thing was going to be as big of a problem as it's turned out to be?
100%. There were days back when we used to go down to play the tournament in Vegas. They would make us enter a separate. In the beginning, we couldn't even walk through the casino. It was off limits. Couldn't even be in there. Didn't want anybody around it. But Of course. I mean, you've taken one of the age-old vices and you've thrown it on a device that walks around with you, and like you're never without it. So, I mean, middle of a game, you see some, oh man, they're going to come back and win this game. You can put a live. They have taken a vice and given it to everybody and said, if you bet 7 times, we'll give you a free one.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's everywhere. It's in your face.
So, and I know you've had these experiences as well, but I remember I was at a shoot-around. Utah State was in Laramie playing Wyoming, and so nobody was really paying attention to this game anyway because it's in Laramie. And Utah State, this was the last Tim Duryea year, so they weren't particularly good. And so this game's on nobody's radar. And Utah State leading scorer on that team did not make the trip. He was injured. And then they had another guy that was probably 3rd, 4th best scorer on the team. I'm watching him in shoot-around, comes down after just taking a shot, rolls his ankle, and he's done on the night. So nobody knows that 2 out of their 4 leading scorers are not going to go in this game. They're already not a good team. Wyoming was actually pretty good that year. And I'm like, and I see the spread, and it's like, Wyoming -1. I'm like part of me is like, I could make so much money right now. I know how this game's going to go. I know for a fact how this game's going to go. But you know what I also know is if I get tied to that as a play-by-play guy and as a broadcaster, my career is done. Like, whatever money I make, that's all I'll have to my name the rest of my life because I can't get back into this business. I'll definitely never get a play-by-play job. A chance of being a radio host is pretty slim, too, because of your access to teams. Like, I know I would lose everything if it came out, and especially now with the amount of scrutiny going on. So you shut your mouth and keep your mouth shut and just do your job. And
we just talked about, Diego Pavia,
yeah.
I mean, his, lack of emotional maturity. But that's on most of these guys. If they're given the opportunity, they do have insider information. It's become a huge issue, and it's, it goes deep as we used to play games, and if a guy, somebody had a prop bet on a guy back when I was in, and Nick Emery'd come to me, for instance, and he'd show me his phone, like some guy from New Jersey threatening to fly out here and, kill him. Like that type of stuff goes on. So it's a mess, and it's weird to me that the league's just, it's not weird, it's all money, but they've just definitely, there was a line in the sand and that line got crossed, and now they're just part of the family.
Well, look, this injury report brought to you by FanDuel, in which
if you put in 3,
which they announced that he's leaving for gambling addiction,
or the ticker during games is brought to you by DraftKings.
Sure, we're going to be like, oh, don't do that, but also please do that.
And the other crazy thing, and I'll finish it with this. You said it. You know how it's going to go, right? No, you don't, because you had no idea. I don't know if the game went the way you thought it
would.
Okay, but sometimes
you're right.
Sometimes it doesn't, and that's where Sorsby's got himself in a pickle, because you make all these big plans. Well, people continue to want more of you, and something's going to go bad.
Yeah, and ultimately, and we've said this is why the Jazz got the $500,000 fine, not for tanking, but for tanking in a way that made the gamblers
affected
upset.
the gamblers and made them call.
Yep.
Let them so 100%. I 100% agree.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The Jazz, the Mammoth, and the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies. When it comes to sports in Utah, we've got you covered. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, it's Monday. It's a little rainy outside. Lloyd's going a little Milli Vanilli.
I'm going to lip sync this segment.
Yes, the whole segment. It's honestly like we have a generation of TikTok stars that all they do is lip sync songs and put out videos.
And Milli Vanilli was shamed for
that. And Milli Vanilli had to give up a Grammy because of it.
Blame it on. The rain's being played. This is being played because the rain is destroying the plaza right now, apparently.
We're supposed to have all these great festivities going on in preparation for the game tonight, and Mother Nature has other ideas.
Did you hear the band the other night when you walked in? Were they going yet?
Yeah, they were going. They were solid. They were no party hounds, but they were good.
Good. Yeah, we were supposed to be out there, but couldn't make it happen.
Yeah.
But I heard it was good. I heard the band was good.
Yeah, they were solid. And there's something about a live band. Like you go to a restaurant, you have a little live band in the corner. You're at just at a wherever, and you hear a live band in the background. It just makes everything
We need
better.
like a dinner show place here. You know what I mean? Like a place where you go and get food and jam.
There you go.
Yeah, we don't have it.
I know. Look, you're a lead singer in a band. So do you still do karaoke every now and then?
No.
No. Okay. You save that voice for the paying audience.
Well, it's just it's like once you've made the bigs, why go back and play double A? I mean, I'm singing big stages. I don't need to sing Applebee's Lounge.
I'm not giving away the milk for free.
No.
What am I doing here? All right, Mike Folta, he is the radio play-by-play voice for the Utah Mammoth. I'm sure you've been around a karaoke bar once or twice.
That's like you said, Scotty, for paying customers only. There's a steep cover when I start belting out Tennessee whiskey or country roads. That ain't for free. I'm not handing out those.
I love it.
Handing out those tones.
Good for you. Good for you. How much? Look, as a broadcaster, I was at the game just covering it as a radio schmuck. I can't imagine what it was like calling a game in that atmosphere. You got history twice. You got the first ever playoff victory, and now the first ever home playoff victory. Now you need to call the first ever playoff series victory.
Well, first of all, I just want to say, Tim, welcome to the show. You've been a great line mate for Scotty here to start, so excited to listen to more of you guys. But yeah, it was an incredible atmosphere the other night for game. Definitely a where were you type of night, and I was right at the top of the upper bowl, soaking it all in, and it was the type of sound that you could feel, right, more than you could hear it. And we have some cameras right next to us on Radio Row, and about halfway through the game, somebody from marketing came over and was trying to help out the cameras shoot the ice a little bit better, because when people would stand up and wave their rally towels, as they did oftentimes, the cameras had trouble shooting what was on the ice, because you have Rudy Gobert standing up in front of the camera, and it's blocking the view a little bit. So awesome work from Mammoth Nation to make things difficult from our TV crew, but make it so much fun inside the arena. And look, Utah just has to win 2 of the next 4 games to clinch their first ever Stanley Cup playoff series. Vegas has to win 3 of the next 4. So Mammoth have the upper hand, but I tell you what, it's not going to be easy against this Golden Knights group. Listening to head coach John Tortorella at their morning skate, they feel like they're ready to go.
Mike, this is a long way from the Rockford Ice Hogs, where you call games. But what is it that the Mammoth are doing that's making life so difficult for the Knights?
Well, I think they were very efficient in their scoring chances last game. I mean, all you have to do is look at poor Carter Hart's save percentage. I mean, he let in, 1 out of every 3 shots that he saw, even though I think he's been really good as Vegas' goalie in this series. So they were efficient in Game 3, but what we saw in Game 2 was what I hoped to see in Game 4, and that's the Mammoth employing their team speed to kind of skate around the Golden Knights. When the Mammoth are playing at the pace they want to play with, the Golden Knights just can't keep up with them. Utah is one of the fastest teams in the NHL, and in Games 1 and 3, we played at the Golden Knights pace. Now, luckily for Utah, they came away with a win in Game 3 and survived a lot of possession from the Golden Knights. But I'd like to see the Mammoth be a little bit quicker with their decision-making and a little bit quicker with the way they get through the middle of the ice, using some open space in the neutral zone to skate past the Vegas defenseman and maybe create some more off the rush.
So, first power play in Game 2, Vegas scores, and since then Utah has been very good in their penalty kill. Penalty kill 4 for 4 in Game 3. Has there been any adjustment? Just better execution? What do you attribute that to?
I think a little bit of both. John Madden, who coaches the penalty kill for Utah, he's a 3-time Stanley Cup winner himself. He won a couple with the New Jersey Devils and then the Chicago Blackhawks as well. So he runs the penalty kill, and it's a very it's a very simple power play that Vegas has, but they're very good at it. It's kind of like Iowa football, right? Like, you know they're going to run it, but they just execute better than you can. They've got Jack Eichel on the wing. He kind of creates a lot of the magic. And you've got Mark Stone along the goal line, who's one of the best players in that spot in the entire NHL. But what I am, I think, most excited about from the penalty kill is that Utah has totally erased Pavel Dorofeev for Vegas. Pavel Dorofeev was second in the entire NHL in terms of power play goals during the regular season, and he hasn't even sniffed the puck on the power play in this series so far through 3 games. So the Mammoths they did give up a couple of power play goals early in the series, but they've taken away Vegas's top weapon on the power play, and now they've actually forced Vegas to make some changes, because the reports coming out of Golden Knights practice was that they're changing some personnel on their power play. So that's a top 5 or top 10 power play in the National Hockey League, and Utah, after their performance in Game 3, forced them into making some personnel adjustments.
The play of, it takes a team, but there's certain guys, and Yamamoto is basically flying off the screen at me with the plays that he makes. Who are some of including him, who are some of the unsung heroes that are making this happen for the Mammoths thus far?
Yeah, I think Kailer Yamamoto is a great call out, Tim. I think he's been excellent on a line with Gunther and Cooley, and Yamamoto's a guy who is a former first-round draft pick. My radio partner, Adrian Denny, likes to call him a good roommate. He's the guy that you invited in because he needed to fill a spot in the apartment, but then all of a sudden you're hanging out with him, and you're like, this guy's pretty good. I like this guy. I want to hang out with Kailer some more. And he's been a perfect fit with Utah's 2 young superstars, Cooley and Gunther. So Yamamoto's a great call-out. I think Sean Durzi, number 50, has been really good in this series so far. Durzi had been on Utah's top defense pair with Mikhail Sergachev for a lot of the season. But when Utah traded for Mackenzie Weegar got put into that spot with Sergachev, and Durzi got basically demoted down the lineup. And he's taken this new role on a third pair and run with it in the playoffs. And he's been excellent. I was talking with Bear about him earlier this morning, and head coach Andre Cherney was singing his praises. And he does a lot of the escape work for the Mammoth. You'll see him use his skating ability to evade the Vegas pressure and help get the puck up ice. So doesn't have a lot of points in this series, Sean Durzi, but he's been helping Utah get out of jams.
Mike Folta, he's the play-by-play voice of the Utah Mammoth, kind enough to join us as he has a bunch. And we'd like to think, since you've made regular appearances on this show, Utah has gone on a bit of a run. So I think you deserve a lot of the credit for this, as well as Tim LaComb. So there is a Barrett Hayton looks like he's super close. Jack McBain, maybe not so much. If Hayton gets back in the lineup, what can he bring?
He's versatile, and one of the most important positions in hockey is the center ice position. It's kind of like the middle linebacker position, right? It's the heart of the defense, but there's a lot of responsibility there, and that's what I equate to the center position. That's what Barrett Hayton is. Right now, Utah has 4 centers in their lineup, which that sounds like, okay, 4 centers, 1 for each line. That's what you need. But really, it helps to have more than that, because you've got centers who are killing penalties. You've got centers who are double shifting to help take faceoffs. Heaven forbid one of them takes a penalty, is sitting in the box, and then you've got, your lines get shuffled around a little bit on the PK. So it helps to have a full complement of more than 4 centers in your lineup. And we can go through the X's and O's with that, maybe a different segment. But having Barrett Hayton in the lineup would allow the Mammoth to be better at faceoffs. And it would also help Utah line match a little bit more, because Barrett Hayton's a very defensively responsible forward. He wins a lot of puck battles. He's really good in front of his own net and in front of the opponent's net as well. And so he helps you maybe match up some of those bottom 6 lines with with Vegas's lines. So he's a versatile guy. I would kind of compare him to an Alexander Kerfoot, who we call a Swiss Army knife. But both in that vein where they're not the biggest guys, but they do a lot of the little things right, and they make life on a coach a lot easier trying to handle matchups.
You had mentioned visiting with the Knights and Coach Tortorella. What do you expect the response to be from them tonight?
I think they're going to try and impose their will again. And it was interesting because after the game, we heard from the Golden Knights that they were really pleased with the way they played in Game 3. They drastically outshot Utah. Shots were 32-12. 12 shots for the Mammoth. That's the fewest goals the Vegas Golden Knights have ever allowed in a game in their 9-year NHL history, and they lost. And they lost 4-2. So they were really pleased with their game. That being said, they're making changes at practice. They're throwing their lines in a blender, or they're changing their power play. So it's almost a little bit of mixed messaging from the Golden Knights where after the game they're saying, yeah, everything's good. We just got to keep doing that. We played really well. But now they're making adjustments and they're changing their lineup. So I think they're going to try and set the tone physically like they did in Game 1. They weren't as physical in Games 2 and 3. And that's been one of the storylines is can the Golden Knights maintain this barrage of brutality? Can they enforce their physical will on the Mammoth, or can the Mammoth outskate them? We saw Utah outskate Vegas in Game 2. The Golden Knights controlled the pace in Game 3. But in a road building, how will the Golden Knights respond? I think they're going to be really physical. I think they're going to come out hot early in periods like they have all series. And it's up to the Mammoth to use Vegas's aggressiveness against them as they did in Game 2.
So we're going to run a contest at the start of football season where the winner will get Mike Folta, and he gets to name your fantasy football team, because a campaign of brutality might be my new favorite phrase. That was awesome.
My best fantasy football name this was a long time ago. Dwayne Bowe was on the Kansas City Chiefs, and I intentionally reached for him in the draft, and my team name was Skittles Taste Dwayne Bowe. I felt really good about that fantasy football name.
Yeah, that's solid.
I just went with Provo Renegades.
Yeah, I like that, man. That's solid work right there. Hey, so when you, look, the shot discrepancy was huge. So that goes without saying that Veggie, was Game 3 his best game of the series?
I think so. I think that's fair to say. I think the team in front of him did well to allow him to see that first shot and get to rebounds as well and get pucks out of those dangerous areas. But Veggie has been excellent, and if he's seeing it, he's stopping it right now. I think you look back over the first 3 games of the series, and I don't think there's one goal so far where you look at it and say, well, he should have had that one. The goals that have been scored by Vegas have all been either off rebounds or deflections. So I think winning the battle in front of the net is important again for Utah. The Golden Knights, I should say, Utah is one of the best teams in the NHL at keeping teams out of that slot area, which is right in between the circles, right in front of the net. The Mammoth and the Golden Knights, for that matter, are both very good at keeping pucks out of that area. I'd like to see Utah do that again here tonight in Game 4. But Karel Vejmelka, I think he borderline stole that game. Now the Mammoth scored 4 goals, so it's hard to have your goalie be the number one story when you score 4 times. But based on the analytics, the analytics folks thought that Vegas should have scored 4 goals themselves. So Veggie was great. He's been really good all series, and he can be a difference maker for this team.
You always hear the old adage that everybody kicks it up a notch for the playoffs. And I'm just curious, you've been in the Delta Center now for a couple of years in regular season hockey, and you got your first playoff. You mentioned the towels were definitely seen and felt. But what was your reaction to how that place felt on Friday night?
It was incredible, and there's a couple things that stood out to me more than just the raw power of the atmosphere. One, guys, I could count on one hand the number of golden jerseys I saw. Like, I'm guessing everybody just turned them in at the jersey exchange earlier that
brilliant,
day.
Wasn't it?
Unbelievable. But I know the Golden Knights are a newer franchise, so their fan base is still growing like ours is. But I didn't see any gold in the crowd, which for a playoff game, you'll at least see a little smattering, right? And there was hardly any. Another thing that sticks out about our fan base is, even though it is fledgling compared to the rest of the National Hockey League, the creativity with which people show up to the game is off the charts for our games compared to other games. Like, you look at the Bell Center in Montreal, which may be the best home environment in the National Hockey League. Everybody's showing up in jerseys and sweatshirts. Like, everybody looks the same. At our building, that's not the case. You have people wearing, like, sequence jackets. I met a couple fans who had, like, found this goalie mask maker who, like, he makes goalie masks for NHL goalies, and these fans had ordered a couple for themselves and wore them to the game. You have people in, like, full-body Mammoth onesies. So there's all these different, like, outfits and headgear and, like, there's so much character in the crowd that you just don't see at these other buildings. Nothing against these other buildings, but there's a specific creativity and uniqueness to our fans that I think is incredible. And it was fun getting to see all the different ways that fans were expressing themselves on the plaza, the SeatGeek Plaza before the game. And then in the building, like, if you're watching the video board, you're seeing, like, a different character on screen basically every time they cut around the building. So that's one of the things I love too about our fan base.
You know, if you've got a big old bottle of water, I want to see you on a celly cam during a timeout.
Yeah, maybe I'll get my tea. I've got my hot tea next to me, so you'll see some chamomile just getting thrown back because we've got some great beer chuggers, water, whatever your drink of choice is. We've had some great moments on the Bud Light celly cam.
I mean, I would love to see a broadcast after, you knock back a drink, a beer, but I probably that's not for the best when it comes to the FCC, so I would probably avoid that. But it could make for a fun altcast. Maybe that's a new SEG Plus opportunity there.
Smashcast.
There you go. I like it.
The Nashcast, they're popping beers in the studio 100%.
Okay, there we go.
Are you kidding me?
Nash has got it covered.
Yeah, he's got that going on SEG Plus. So there's that's our on-camera drinking. I don't even know if they're allowed. Oh, they are allowed because it's a stream.
Yeah.
It's not TV. So the rules are a little different. But yeah, probably just water and tea for me. I'll have a couple Molson Canadians after the game.
All right. So when you're looking at the stat sheet after the game tonight, what do you want to see that would represent a win for the Mammoth?
Yeah, that's a great question because I'm stalling a little bit here for myself because the Mammoth were statistically dominated.
Yeah.
In Game 3, right? So I think Vegas is a team that is going to outshoot Utah more often than not. How about this one? How about let's go under the hood a little bit here if we could, take her into the mechanic shop. Give me the speed burst numbers. You can go to NHL Edge and check out how fast players are skating. And I think when the Mammoth are able to turn up the dial on the speed, that's when they're going to win. We've talked about that as one of the big storylines, Utah's speed versus Vegas's physicality. If the Mammoth are flying around, I feel pretty good about their chance to win the game. If they're kind of slower through the neutral zone and not able to generate speed into the offensive end, that's when we're playing at Vegas's pace. So give me the speed burst numbers as an indicator.
I love it. See,
as an old coach, I have one for you guys. Just the final score will be fine. Just the final score will be fine.
Yeah, just score more than the other team.
If you have more points than them, like you said, Mike, you would have looked at the stats the other night and it's like, there's no way. So tonight, let's just go with that one because you know what happens when it goes 3-1 in hockey, right, Mike?
Well, you can't trust anything in the playoffs. You can't trust a series lead. You can't trust a 2-goal lead in a game. like all you have to do is watch the games from last night. Anaheim erased a 2-goal lead against Edmonton, came back and won in overtime. So that's what makes this time of year great. And Tim, that's why you're the coach, my man.
Yeah.
Well, I should just sit back and let you two golden tones talk. Your voices are they're melodic.
Hey, let me ask you this as a hockey expert. Should that have been a Anaheim goal last night?
I think it was a goal. I don't love the process of how it went down. If you didn't see it, it looked like the puck had crossed the goal line, but the goaltender's skate was covering the evidence, and so you couldn't definitively tell from video that the puck had crossed the goal line, even though if you kind of do the geometry on it, you would be able to see, like, yeah, it crossed. My issue with that, Scotty, is that it was called a goal on the ice, but here's the thing. The referee behind the net, or he was supposed to be behind the net, he was a little out of position. He never pointed at the net, which is the signal for goal, and so he didn't make a call on it. And then he huddles up with the other officials who are behind the play, and somehow out of that conversation, they come away with the conclusion that there was a goal on the ice. So now, as we know, if you're going to overturn something, you need irrefutable evidence. Well, the call on the ice is now a goal, and that makes it that is a huge advantage for Anaheim in this review situation. I don't think it should have ever been called a goal on the ice. I'm okay with it being an Anaheim win because I think the puck crossed, but it was a bit of a confusing process for me.
Well, we appreciate it. Hopefully you're calling a bunch of goals tonight for the Mammoth, and this team goes up 3-1.
Big game 4, 7:30 tonight at the Delta Center. Can't wait, guys. And Tim, great to talk with you. Scotty, as always, we'll talk soon again.
You got it. He's the best. Mike Folta right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Great voice. When he scores!
And he's not giving away that voice for free either.
No.
So I guess I need to shut down the karaoke.
Yeah, I looked up his bio in 2023. He was working for the Rockford Ice Hogs.
The Ice Hogs.
I think I need a jersey for the Ice Hogs. I've heard Ice Dogs, but the Ice Hogs?
The Ice Hogs.
Bring them on.
See, that's why I love.
They have good names in the minor leagues.
They really do.
They have
Right?
some good ones.
AAA baseball, minor league hockey.
Trash Pandas. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And I mean, frankly, every Wednesday we're home of the dirty sodas.
The dirty sodas, yes.
See, I need to get one of those jerseys.
We got to go to a game.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to take a game with you guys.
Let's do it.
If you'd be
we
seen
need to
with
get
me in
Tim
public.
doing like a first pitch.
Ooh, we can arrange that. You ready to throw out a pitch?
Skip that thing in there, but I'll get her there.
Hey, no.
Yeah, practice a little bit before.
I'm confident. No, I'm good.
You'll Bear Bachmeyer that thing.
Come on.
You're not going to Mendoza that thing.
Whatever I do, I won't apologize.
Can't be any worse than the last guy.
I'm like Shaq. Who was the last guy?
All right.
Off the air?
Some people are just they can't throw
like Fernando
balls. Yes, just like that.
Yeah. All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, 12:29. Hope you're having a tremendous Monday right here on the Zone.
The best radio in Utah is right here. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right, it's rainy, it's nasty outside, and we've had a winter where we may not have had all the snow, but you've had plenty of rain, mud, all that other nastiness. You've been dragging that into your homes, into your carpets. It's time to get those carpets clean. Cole's going to help you out. Zero Res is the place to go. That's zerores.com or call 866-0RES. And Cole, you've got some great savings because we want people to get those carpets clean and get ready for spring. Look, I cleaned out the garage over the weekend. People are doing that spring cleaning. It needs to apply to your carpets too.
We like to think so. Let's get the carpets clean. Let's remember what white carpets are supposed to look like. Give us a call. We'll make that happen.
I was reading, sometimes you guys can pull out as much as like 40 pounds of dirt and gunk and all kinds of stuff when you get those carpets cleaned.
Yeah, on average, the floors get about 40 pounds a year of dirt, dust, skin, bug, whatever little crawly things you don't want down there. Unless you get professionally cleaned, they're not going to get removed. You can vacuum every day, but it's still not going to remove some of those hard-to-get things. So you need a company like us to come out with our hot water extraction to really suck out all of that stuff you don't want down there.
Cole, how long does it take? Have you come clean my carpets? What is the time timeline?
Sure. We like to say about half an hour a room, right? Half an hour of stairs, room, thing like that. And then your carpets will be damp for a couple hours after the cleaning, but you can walk on your carpets right after. We just recommend, bare feet or white socks. But you don't have to worry about any detergents or anything like that. Really just lingering on your feet because we don't use any of that kind of stuff.
And that's the other thing, too. You got a lot of young families. You got people with pets, and, they don't need to be rolling around in some kind of nasty chemicals that are left there from cleaning.
Yeah, exactly. I had a niece that was just born a couple weeks ago, so I made sure to get Zero Res out just so my niece doesn't have to worry about crawling around on anything. You never know, right, what's down there. And you don't want any detergents down there. It's dogs, pets, little kids. So it's just good to know that it's clean the right way. It's a longer lasting clean. Because the problem with those detergents, not only do you want to touch it, dirt and things end up sticking to it, so it doesn't stay clean for very long. Unless you have a company like us come out.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, I've had Zero Res come out to my homes forever, and they've done such a tremendous job, and I can't vouch for them enough. 866-0-RES. That's 866-0-RES. Right now, you can get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned and the hallway thrown in there as well for just $119. But you got to call 866-0-RES and tell them you heard it here on The Zone. Get those carpets cleaned, get ready for spring and into summer as well. Cole, thank you, man. We appreciate it. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right. So when you look at this Mammoth game coming up tonight, and, I think it's really funny because, I'm like, what stat should you look at? And you're like, look, I'm a coach. Just score more. Because really, you look at that stat sheet, if I just showed you that stat sheet and you didn't see the score, and I said one team would be up 4-0 midway through the third period, you'd be like, it's Vegas.
Yeah, 30-plus shots on goal to 12. I mean, so I just went to NHL Edge. Mike told us to visit, and it's got some awesome stuff. In the playoffs, Vegas has been in their offensive zone, now considering all strengths, 45% of the series. So, I mean, if you were just to look at that alone, they definitely have a way of ball control or puck control. Yeah. But what Mike talked about is the speed and the bursts and the opportunities that have existed for the Mammoth. And however they get it done, they just need to get it done because you're right. The stats would indicate, like last game, my eyes told me the Mammoth dominated the game. The stats would say, that Vegas had the puck a lot more, had a lot more chances, had a lot more in their zone. But it's just the Mammoth got to keep continuing, just be that fly in the ointment.
And it certainly is fun watching them be the aggressor, too. I mean, you saw a lot of, it felt like for a lot of the first game, certainly the first game and into the second game a little bit, that it was the Knights that were kind of the bullies. And they were the ones kind of pushing around the Mammoth. And then it kind of flipped there in game 3, where there was a lot of scuffles, but it was usually because it was the Mammoth that were getting under the skin of a more veteran experienced team. Yeah. And I wouldn't have expected that.
Those decisions are huge. I mean, it's like we had Jay on and he said, you've got it's part of hockey. You got to stand up for your teammates. You've got to be there to rally, but there is a way to walk away and not be penalized for the fights. I think the Mammoth have done a much better job of just being more, you haven't seen the interference plays, some of those things that they had early in the series. So I think their ability to not get penalties and be a little bit more disciplined in that regard has been big as well.
So, you bring that up. I was watching the spring game up at Utah State a couple of weeks ago, and I was standing next to an old offensive lineman, and he and I were chatting. Quinn Ficklin started at BYU, then finished at Utah State. And they were letting their quarterbacks take shots. There weren't any red jerseys, so the quarterbacks were playing live. And one quarterback took a nasty shot after right there at the whistle, could have gone either way. And the kid gets up, and this guy I was standing next to lost his mind at the offensive line, like, hey, you run in there and you let those guys know you don't touch the quarterback like that. He goes, that's as much of a job as getting blocks is to protect your guy and to provide a little bit of fear that if you're a safety and you came up and took a shot at a quarterback, that you're going to have 5 300-pound dudes that were going to knock your block off. And I think that's kind of interesting because you probably, being around teams and locker rooms, sometimes teams have that, sometimes they don't.
Yeah, and that's one of the tells. I think the Mammoth, they've done such a great job of just coming up together. And the last 2 years it's almost been magical in terms of the way it's gone. But you see that cohesion and chemistry amongst the Mammoth. I've been so impressed with just hockey subculture as I've learned more about it and the way they do really look out for one another. The Mammoth have, in my mind, they've frustrated Vegas. To your point now, they've got Vegas in somewhat of a not desperate situation, but they're making major changes, it sounds like. They're agreeing that it's not going well out on the ice. So again, the Mammoth just have to keep pushing the pace. In my mind, they got to get rid of the puck. That's been said by everybody. Can't hold on it for too long. When it's coming to you, you have to know where it's going because there is not a ton of space. That's one thing Vegas is doing a good job is smothering the Mammoth. But man, just keep Gunther over there firing bombs from that left angle. Those things are things of beauty.
When you and you pointed out a quote from their coach, and when you hear a coach say, "We just got to have fun and relax a little bit," that's not a good sign.
No, to me, that's one of the first signs. When I read that today, I was like, eesh. Because what you want to be saying is, "Hey, we're a great hockey team, and we just need to do what we do." But he's starting to, intimate that there is guys in that locker room feeling pressure. And so for him to say, we've got to have fun, we've got to loosen up. Yeah, this is right there on the table for the Mammoth to take tonight. And again, 3-1, you've got a 90% chance of winning the series. So this is massive.
Go get it done.
I thought you were going to say Mammoth.
This is
This is Mammoth. You wanted
this
to.
Is
okay.
I'm not smart enough to think that
This is a Mammoth game.
This is a
Mammoth
game for
opportunity tonight for the Utah Mammoth.
Mammoth. Like that?
Yeah. Just like.
But I am really, like you, I'm loving hockey.
Oh, geez.
I've always liked it. I've watched it from afar. Never been that into it. But, I collect sports cards, and hockey's going to – I'm going to buy hockey next year.
So every year I'd watch the NHL playoffs, especially if there's a Game 7.
Oh, those are the best.
And I didn't really have any skin in the game, but it's Game 7. I'm going to watch it. And every time I would watch it, I'd be like, I got to get into this more. I have to watch this more. And then the regular season would come next fall, and I wouldn't watch it until the playoffs. And then I'd be like, I got to keep watching this. This is great. Now that you're immersed in it, now that we have a team here and I'm watching it night in and night out, it's like, I need this in my veins nonstop.
I'm watching it like I've got skin in the game.
Yes,
we do.
Yeah, for sure.
And the fans of the Mammoth have been so fun to watch. There's so many great fans out there on Twitter, but my guy, there's one. There's one major guy.
Lloyd and I know who that is.
Yeah, I know him. And I love to watch him go off. But the culture here, it's so fun. And like you said, people just wanted to be a part of things downtown. And that's what Ryan wants to do with this is all for community. And this hockey community, man, it's sucking me in big time.
By the way, I was at the press conference before Game 3, and Ryan Smith, the commissioner, was announcing, kind of like a state of the team, state of the union, but also made the announcement that the Outdoor Classic will be New Year's Eve, Rice-Eccles Stadium, Mammoth, Avalanche. Come on, you can't get much better than that.
How cool is that?
I mean, how cool is it? Lloyd, I want a ticket to that if you can get me.
You want a ticket to that?
Or I want to cover it.
Okay, gotcha.
With my family.
We'll be covering it.
Let's cover it as Let's cover it. Let's cover it as a show.
I'd like to cover that with you.
And by the way, Ryan said also, hey, this is not just going to be a one-off. Apparently, they've got all kinds of stuff planned. As it will come back down to the arena, and it's going to be a New Year's festivity. He said there's going to be a concert that's going to be massive. So
I haven't gotten called.
It's Party Hounds.
It's probably bigger than us. I would imagine that's a bit bigger than us. No, but dude, this is so exciting and so fun to have. I know there's a bunch of Jazz fans that are Mammoth fans and vice versa, but these Mammoth fans, they show up a little different. Like Mike said, they come in with their stuff ready to go. I saw a big picture of all the women Mammoth fans that have been basically meeting since the group got here. It's why we do this stuff. And, yeah, tonight is an opportunity for the Mammoth to take a stranglehold on the series. And, yeah, more hockey. Might slow the building down a little bit in Jim Olsen, but this is what we're here for.
Well, Jimmy will find a way. Jimmy O will find a way to make it work.
They'll just speed guys up when they have to.
Yeah. I mean, look, I worked for Jim for a long time. And that guy knows how to motivate you.
He'll get it done.
Yeah.
Good soul.
Oh, the best. Absolutely the best. All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We'll stay with the hockey theme. Coming up at 1:05, Cole Bagley, our hockey insider for KSLSports.com, will join us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And the coach, Tim LaComb. Now I know y'all are tripping. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The segment brought to you by BMW Utah. 2 locations to choose from in Murray and Pleasant Grove. Drive elevated. All right, so NBA playoffs continue on. I know we're talking a lot of NHL, but is there a series out there that has ultimately surprised you? I'm a little surprised by how Denver is just getting beat to hell by Minnesota. And it feels like Denver's just kind of, especially the way they handled the end of the game, they just kind of felt like they've rolled over and like, we're done. Like it's almost, I get a little white flag feeling from Denver right now.
Yeah, that has been not as surprising to me because I knew watching Denver this year, like offensively out of this world.
Yeah.
But, you know, the real strength of Minnesota defensively, they're great in the playoffs. And I think when we were listening to the clip from the ESPN guys, you know, I think it was Jalen Rose that was talking about the fact that you know, Rudy's basically eliminating Jokic and Ant's eliminating Jamal, or at least making life more difficult, and they have no answer on the other end. Like it started in game 2. McDaniels after the game said we need to just go at every single one of them, and that's been how they've done it. So I'm not as surprised with that one as I am the Raptors and the Cavs. You know, I thought the Raptors, if they had Emmanuel Quickly, that they actually probably could win that series. But without him, he's out the entire series with a hamstring. I thought, you know, it's going to be a little tough. Cavaliers took the Raptors pretty easily the first game. But now the series tied 2-2. Raptors win yesterday. And just looking at that box score, you know, you pay that number one guy to be that number one guy, Donovan Mitchell. 6 for 24 from the field in 37 minutes, 4 for 12 from 3, and 4 for 4 from the line. It's a really rough outing. He had 20 points, but he did it on 24 shots. Harden also struggled. I'm surprised he only took 14 shots, but he was 6 for 14. The Cavs, to me, they're in trouble. The Raptors are tough, physical. They can kind of get into you, make you have those shooting nights. And, you know, Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, R.J. Barrett, they got it going a little bit. So that one's probably surprised me more than any.
And that's the thing that I've really liked about Toronto is just their level of just overall nastiness in which they play the game. And, you know, they just want to – they're like old school San Diego State. Like they just want to beat the crap out of you. And just from a physicality standpoint, the league's going one way, and they're like, oh, we're going to go the other way. And I've really enjoyed watching Toronto because they kind of have a, I don't know, like a late 80s, early 90s feel to them.
They actually do. It's a great call. And, you know, they kind of play in that mid-post area. They play a lot in the paint. But, you know, Ingram's unique because he's so long and big that he can really create shots in isolation. Often has a smaller guy on him. So they got ways they can play. Really, Cavs have to now go back and try to take hold of this series. I wish Quickly was coming back because I think that would ensure that Toronto probably would win this series. But 2-2 now, and going back to Cleveland, we'll see how it shapes out.
All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you might not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
The Jazz, the Mammoth, and the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies. When it comes to sports in Utah, we've got you covered. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
See, this is why you need to be watching the show on YouTube. This song connected with Coach.
This is the Elaine. This is what she was dancing to.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, she was just.
Nice pull. I'm going to, pretty soon, that's going to be on the old binge. I got to go through Seinfeld again.
I can't do it. I've wore it out.
Oh, really?
Know that all the lines, know that when jokes are coming. The reactions, I already laughed a ton. I'm giving it a break.
Yeah. You got to go on a break, huh?
We just got HBO Max, so I'm digging into all those things I hadn't seen.
Sopranos?
I did watch Sopranos. I paid to watch that one.
Yeah.
I love The Mob.
Oh, yeah. How about The Wire?
I want to watch The Wire. Is it good?
That is such a good one.
Yes.
Okay. I watched quickly this week, like 2 or 3. Like my wife walked out 3 a.m. on Friday, and I told you guys I'm free. This is the first time since high school I've felt like I love this job. So It was Friday night, and I was just home. She was asleep 2, 3 in the morning. I'm hanging with my cat. She comes out. She's like, "What are you doing?" I can't turn this TV off. She's like, "It's 2:30 in the morning." I was like, "I got nothing to do tomorrow." She looks at me with a cross look because there's plenty to do in a house we just moved into.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, man, I let it. Friday night after the Mammoth one.
Yeah.
Finished the first week of a new gig. Got some positive feedback from my producer.
Which is not easy to come by.
It was party mode, man. It was party mode.
Good for you. You're a cat guy, huh?
I have a cat.
Yeah.
Jude. Hey, Jude.
So you say, "Hey, Jude."
And Jude says hello. It's the damnedest thing you've ever heard.
Really?
Every morning walks in.
Jude ever get into your
arm? Wait, whoa.
I snuggled Jude like you wouldn't believe.
The cat can kind of muster a hello, huh?
He can, I swear to you, says hello.
We need some video evidence.
Every morning he comes in. You can ask my wife.
I would have taken you as a dog guy.
Dogs stink.
And cats don't?
No. Cats clean themselves.
That.
They don't stink. My cat doesn't stink.
And you got the old litter thing that doesn't stink up the house?
Yeah, it's like one of those.
Oh, a little vacuum thing?
Like the Zero Res, like the sucking machine. It just sucks this
right
smell out.
Yeah. Maybe that's what we need to be, a cat house. Nah, I don't know if
they are. I'm telling you.
I could see you being a cat guy, actually.
Really?
There is nothing better, and I'm going to get ridiculed, but getting home, watching a game, having Jude right up there.
Yeah.
On my chest. He's as big as a lion now.
Oh yeah,
huge.
he's a big mamma jamma.
And he's on the back end.
Oh, okay.
15 years old, wow. 16.
Jude's seen some things.
Yes. And we're kind of debating in the new locale, because cats are very territorial.
Oh yeah.
And so we had to kind of let him figure it out, but it's a little rough. Like we got foxes in the backyard. I saw a fox back there. So he's in a whole different thing, but I'm just letting him. He's going to either die of natural causes or being a cat.
There you go. Let that cat.
Did I lose respect today?
No, not. Look, the other guy, when I say the other guy, that sounds really bad. Hans, he's got
there was a movie called The Other Guys.
Oh, sorry. No, I mean, look, how many times did he talk about his dog or his cat, like, licking his tears?
Does he have a cat?
No, he had a cat growing up.
Okay.
And he had a cat that had a name that would be an FCC violation. And so I made sure he could not name the cat by name. Yeah. But yeah, he talked about how that cat would he'd come home from being bullied and he'd be crying and the cat would lick his tears.
And it didn't stink.
And apparently did not stink.
There's nothing worse than a wet dog.
Yeah.
Are you a dog guy?
I would be. My wife's allergic.
Okay.
And I know there's the hypoallergenic dogs now, but and plus the thing is, if we got a dog, like I've got boys that should be taking care of it, they wouldn't. That dog would be dead.
Just another job for you, Scotty.
It'd just be my job. Yep. And I'd be at 2 a.m. taking the dog for a walk.
Before we go to Cole, to tell you how bad I am at my job, I just got a text reminding me today's trash day, and I missed it last week.
Oh, that's not good.
So I got to remember.
Oh, boy. All right.
And here's Tim saying, I got nothing to do. I got nothing.
Can you take the trash out, man?
Cole Bagley's joining us, hockey insider, Mammoth insider for all things NHL for KSLSports.com. Cole, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. I was there catching the game. That was an incredible atmosphere. Is it everything that you envision playoff hockey in Utah to be?
Yeah, but the crazy thing is I think there's even another level to it, right? I mean, the longer that this series goes and, the further that Utah gets into the playoffs, I think that crowd is just going to continue to lift their energy levels, their intensity and their love for that team. So, yeah, I would say it was everything and more that I could have ever anticipated and expected. And, I would probably rank it probably in the top 5 of, events, in terms of energy ever held at Delta Center, at least in terms of sports. I mean, it was just an unreal atmosphere, and the team definitely appreciated it, and were able to kind of they were fueled by just the passion of the fans. So tonight in Game 4, I expect the same thing, and we'll see how the boys are able to respond.
Veggie handled a major workload the other night, 31 shots, and I was just looking at NHL Edge. It says that this series has been played 45% of the time, regardless of strengths, in the offensive zone of the Knights. How important and just how big has Veggie been so far this series?
Yeah, I mean, the key to a deep playoff run in the National Hockey League is that usually, I mean, there's a lot of factors, but generally the biggest one is who has the hot goaltender, who has the best goaltender, which guys can steal games for their team most often. And, right now I'd say that Vejmelka has done that for the Mammoth. It's interesting. I mean, I would say that Carter Hart overall is the better goalie, but in this series, Vejmelka has, put forth the better performances, and I think he's got more help from his defensemen. The biggest thing for Vejmelka in Game 3 that helped him to, stop as many shots as he did, especially facing as many shots as he did, I think was just the attention to details. He just played a very simplified, pure game. He tracked the puck phenomenally well. He was quick to act on rebounds, and there was a couple plays in particular where the puck went in behind the net. Vegas was able to get a hold of it, and each time Vejmelka was so quick to track where that is, and that's not easy. It's not as easy as you think it is when you've got all that gear on, you've got your mask on, and you're trying to play the front of the net while also trying to pay attention to what's going behind. But he found those pucks, and he quickly stacked his pads up on both posts to avoid, any potential wraparound attempts or, quick shots in front. So, I mean, Vejmelka, to me, has played, right at the level that he needs to give his team a chance to win every night. I did a deep analytical dive on both goalies going into this series, and, I said that Vejmelka would need to probably be, less than 3 goals against per game and right around 900 save percentage, and that's exactly where he's been through the first 3, and then he's put Utah in a position to win hockey games, and that's why they're up 2-1.
All right, so just explain to me, like I'm 5, I guess, but explain to me just how rare that win was for Utah, giving the statistical discrepancies. So if I were to give you that stat sheet from that game and I didn't have the score on it, and you hadn't watched any of the game, would you have said that was a Vegas win?
Yeah, I mean, I would have expected a 5-1, 5-0 win in favor of the Knights.
Yeah.
You are not going to win hockey games in the playoffs with only 12 shots on goal. It's just not going to happen. Of course it did, but it's not going to happen again. And as I went back and kind of rewatched the game, and I was able to chat with some of the veterans on Utah's roster over the last couple of days, just trying to make sense of it, because that's something that I've never seen before. I mean, if you were to tell anybody, any analyst, any reporter that, again, kind of to your point, don't tell them the score, But if you said, hey, you know what, Vegas had 32 shots on goal and Utah had 12, and they only had one in the third period, I'd argue that 100% of those people would expect Vegas to have just absolutely dominated Utah. And so as I tried to make sense of it and try to figure out what happened, you know, playoff hockey it's the same game, but it's very different. And it's defined by small moments. It's defined by momentum swings. And a lot of the times, you know, the better team doesn't always win the game. And I think this was certainly an extreme, but, you know, when you boil it down, I think what has helped Utah to get out to a 2-1 series lead is they've won the chess match so far, and I think they've won the game within the game. You know, if you know, going back and watching, and again, talking to some of those veterans, once Utah was up 4-0, I think the mindset kind of changed to, you know, they kept their foot on the gas, but they were very careful in, you know, how they approached certain plays, certain zone entries, certain passes. You know, instead of trying to make, you know, those desperate type plays that maybe only have a 20 or 30% chance of you know, happening, they stuck to the more simplified plays, the plays that they knew would not end up costing them or generating, you know, rushes the other direction for Vegas. And so, yeah, I think that might explain the shot discrepancy to a certain extent. Is, you know, Utah made the most of their chances. They got out to a 4-0 lead relatively quick, and from there it was just kind of, you know, play their opponent the way that they need to, manage the clock, and don't put yourself in any, you know, situations that are going to get you burned.
Jack Eichel scored 90 points this year, and in 3 games just has 3 points. What are the Mammoth doing so well to take away what he does best?
They're playing physically, and, you know, that has been an emphasis since the series started. Is, you know, when you're facing really top tier players, especially offensive players, you got to let them feel you. You know, from the moment they enter the zone to, you know, when they're battling in front of the net, or they're trying to retrieve pucks, you know, in the corners, what have you. They have to know that you're there, and you have to intimidate them in that factor. And, you know, I tried to pay, you know, kind of special close attention to Jack Eichel in Game 3, and there were multiple instances where Eichel was hit 3 or 4 times within about 5, 6, 7 seconds upon entering the zone. There was one in particular where he was hit 4 times in 6 seconds. He came into the zone. He was hit by Lawson Krause. He dumped the puck in. He was hit by Mackenzie Weegar. He retrieved the puck. He was hit by Lawson Krause. And then as he tried to go to the net, you know, Weegar kind of gave him another shove. That's exactly how you have to play those types of guys. Is, you know, they're dangerous, and if you give them time and space, they'll punish you. But, you know, if you kind of throw them off their game, if you're hitting them and you're letting them know and it's kind of asserting your will upon them, I think it's going to, you know, it obviously impacts their ability to produce. And I would say that, you know, kind of the same thing has happened to Clayton Keller, you know, a bit. And I think, you know, I would say that Game 3 was his best game of the series. But, you know, Vegas has been overly physical, and there has not been a lot of time and space for him to operate. And so, you know, he's had to adjust. I think he did a good job of that in Game 3. And, you know, as for Eichel, I just don't know that he's quite figured out, you know, how to handle the way that Utah's playing him.
When you look at, you know, Vegas came in, the power play was such a strength for them, and they got an early one in the beginning of Game 2. Since then, I think Utah shut them out. In fact, they were 0 for 4 on power plays against Utah in Game number 3. What has Utah done? Is it just execution? Have they altered what they've done? Because Vegas got a couple of good looks in Game 3, but for the most part, Utah really kept them out of rhythm.
Yeah, I think it comes down to 2 things, you know, and this is kind of generally speaking in terms of not only, you know, 5-on-5, not only 5-on-4 or 5-on-3, but, you know, 5-on-5 as well. I think Utah has done a phenomenal job at denying the middle of the ice. You know, Vegas is a team that likes to play that east-west game. They like to, you know, possess the puck. You know, they're very heavy on the puck, meaning that, you know, it's tough to get zone clearances. It's tough to, you know, win those battles. And, you know, so that's helped them to generate extended ozone time. But when it comes down to it, Utah has done a great job of, you know, getting their sticks in the middle of the ice, you know, breaking up passes, winning the majority of the battles in close to the net, you know, making sure that they're staying above, you know, those forwards and, you know, taking away opportunities and what have you. And I think the other thing, too, is not that Utah has changed their approach in terms of the penalty kill, but I think that they've kind of raised their game in terms of putting their bodies on the line. They've blocked a ton of shots in this series. They've blocked a lot of shots on the power play, and it's not just simply jumping in front of pucks as you normally would, but it's laying out. I mean, there was one play in particular, I think in the third period, I want to say it was the last power play for the Golden Knights, where Alexander Kerfoot, completely laid out, threw his stick out, extended it as far as it could. The puck gets blocked, and it actually exits the zone, and Utah has been able to get a good change, and then eventually they killed it. So, for Utah, just keep doing that. Keep winning those battles in close to the net, keep denying the middle of the ice, and make those extra plays that you're going to have to sacrifice your body. That's just playoff hockey. If you want to win games, you're going to get to the end of the season and have a lot of bumps and bruises and what have you, but those are going to translate to victories.
Dylan Guenther with a couple of really loud goals in the series. Do you anticipate that he will have less space to operate after a couple of goals like that?
Yeah, I've talked to him about it, and I think the key for Guenther in remaining effective is to just do what he did all season. I mean, this is a 40 goal scorer. This is a guy that finished top 10 in goals for the entire season, and the way that he was able to do that was by diversifying his skill set, by not just being a one-trick pony, not being just a guy who's going to take one-timers from the left side, but getting into the dirty areas, going to the net, crashing the net. I mean, he helped generate a scoring chance in game 2 that eventually ended up being the game winner, because he generated, he flew up the left side off the rush. He was fearless. He went right to the net. He put a dangerous puck on goal, and Clue was able to finish it. That's what he needs to continue to do, because what it forces the defense to do is respect you on all areas of the ice. They can't just you don't want to become one-dimensional. And I think that's what Guenther kind of started to face last season was, teams started to recognize, okay, there's this kid, number 11, he's got a wicked one-timer, and he is going to shoot that constantly. So they could kind of start to anticipate it, where he's taken his offensive game and his production to the next level, and it makes it so much harder because you don't know what he's going to do. You don't know if he is going to take the one-timer or if he's going to take the puck and go right at the net. And I think it, forces the defense to respect him in a bunch of different ways. And it's just, he is, in my mind, he's got probably a top 3 release in the National Hockey League, but then the fact that he's willing to, to put his body on the line, to go into the dirty areas, to take hits and, make dangerous plays is what has helped him to be effective. And right now, I don't know that Vegas really has an answer for him.
So are you glass half full, as in Utah did not play particularly well and still won game 3, or glass half empty, if you play like that again, you're going to lose, and that is not replicable going into game 4?
Yeah. Can I be somewhere in the middle?
Sure.
Is that a thing?
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
That checks, yes.
I think, like I was talking about earlier, the playoffs are just a different beast. And there are countless series over the years where, the team that was better on paper and produced more shots and had more dangerous chances didn't end up winning. That's just the way that it goes. It's not necessarily, if you put 40 shots on goal as opposed to 15 or 20 that you're going to win the game. Now it obviously helps, increase those chances. So for Utah, I think they just need to yes, they need to increase the number of shots that they had on goal. I do not see them putting up 12 tonight and taking a 3-1 series lead. That's just not going to happen. But what they need to do is to continue to play the chess match. The playoffs, especially, the Stanley Cup playoffs, are all about adjustments, not just adjustments game to game, but adjustments period to period and shift to shift. And I think so far that's what's helped Utah. I mean, if you want to be fully glass, completely glass half full type, you break this down. Utah was 1/3 period away from being up in this series 3-0.
Yeah.
Right? Like if that third period in game 1 doesn't go south, they're up 3-0 and they could sweep Vegas at this point. So, there are some things that they need to fix, but I think overall they don't ask how, they just ask how many. And Right now Utah's up 2-1 with an opportunity to go up 3-1. And I think if they just continue, like I said, to win the chess match, to make proper adjustments in game and to continue to assert themselves and play their style, I think they're going to put themselves in a good chance to go up 3-1.
How big has Krause been? I know he was a star of the game the other night, but it seems like he's controlling a lot of things out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain players in the National Hockey League that their games just translate so much better to the postseason. I think if you look at a guy who, was the playoff MVP a year ago in Sam Bennett, he's a good regular season player, but he is an elite playoff type player. And, I think somewhat of the same can be said about Lawson Krause. He's a very good regular season player, but he's not a guy that's going to put up, more than 50 points. He's not a 50, 60, 70 point guy. But, when it comes to the playoffs, the game just kind of changes. It prioritizes physicality. It prioritizes, being able to take and deliver hits and to go into I talk about the dirty areas a lot, but, to go into the corners to retrieve pucks and, to assert yourself in a physical manner. And that is Lawson Krause to a T, right? He is winning a lot of battles in front of the net. He's delivering a lot of hits. He's helping generate turnovers. And then, he's scored some really big goals. So for a guy like that, his leadership is shining through, and, his impact has just been huge for this team. And I think that just speaks to, just the overall depth and just how well constructed this roster is to potentially beat this Vegas team.
So it appears that just based on who's on the ice for practice, Jack McBain probably isn't close, but is there a chance we see Barrett Hayton tonight?
That's a good question. And I feel like I'm dealing with Kyle Whittingham in some ways in terms of injuries with Andre Tourny, because he's just locked it down. He said that he's not going to talk about injuries. And I think that is particularly advantageous at this point of the year. Vegas has not done that. They've been pretty forthcoming in who their starting goaltender is going to be every game, and who's going to be on the ice for them. They've skated their lines pretty much every single day, whereas Utah, it's been a question mark every night. And I think that Tourny likes that. I think that he's the type of guy that wants to take every single advantage that he can, because he realizes that Utah is an underdog, and so if there's certain things that he can put in his favor, he's going to do that. So, it's hard to judge at this time of the year whether or not a player is going to be back. During the regular season, they're a lot more forthcoming about where the guy's progressing, if he's day to day, if he's week to week. And then, of course, if you just kind of pay attention to what's going on, once a player takes off that non-contact sweater and starts skating lines, that's a pretty good indication that he's coming back. Well, Utah hasn't really been skating lines. There's been a lot of maintenance days. There's been a lot of optional days. And so right now it's tough to say how close he is, but, he has skated in a non-contact or in a full contact sweater for the last, I think, 4 or 5 practices. And, he's when they're skating, he's been a pretty full participant. So I'd say that he's probably getting close, but I'm not sure if we'll see him tonight or not.
Last one for me. Did Vegas really try to take the puck after the game?
That's what I was told, and that's I think it's again, the playoffs are just different. Everything is elevated, and for a team like Vegas, they're just trying to get in Utah's head there. And I did see Lawson Krause was kind of barking at Vegas and barking at the referees, and apparently the referees had to go down the tunnel and retrieve the game puck for the Mammoths because that's the first playoff win at home in team history, and so there's a lot of value in that puck for Utah. I think it's just mind games. Vegas has been known to do those types of things, and so I did not see the referee go down the tunnel to retrieve it, but that's what a lot of other people were saying, and it would not shock me if in fact that did happen.
That's messed up.
That's so Vegas.
That's so Vegas. Yeah.
I mean, UNLV would stoop to such a level.
That's a classic UNLV move too, for sure.
It's in the city. It's just baked into that.
But the Raiders would never.
No, not Raiders. No,
they would not.
They would, and they would try to sell it back to you, like they do copper wire
in pieces.
Well, the Raiders would have to make the playoffs if they were going to.
That's the point. Yes, Cole.
There you go.
That's what I've come to fix.
Attaboy. Hey, you surprised Edmonton's in the situation they're in?
Yes and no. To have 2 generational talents and potentially the most skilled player to ever, take the ice in the history of the game, and to be trailing Anaheim 3-1 is pretty shocking to me. But I think if you take a step back and you just kind of realize what Edmonton and McDavid have been through over the last 3 years, 2 deep runs to the Stanley Cup final, losing back-to-back years, he went all the way, to the gold medal game at the Olympics, arguably carried that team. And then he had to carry Edmonton into the playoffs. I mean, they were in a wild card spot and even out of a playoff spot with about, 6 to 8 weeks to go. And, they turned it on. A lot of it was because of the way that he played. And then, he did sustain a lower body injury. I believe it was an ankle injury in game 1. And so, when you look at the details, I think it makes a little bit more sense, but still there is a chance that the Mammoth and the Ducks could be playing in round 2. And I don't think there's a person on this planet that anticipated that would be possible. And if that's what ends up happening, one of those 2 teams will be going to the conference final.
Let's go.
Which is bonkers, right? Like, if you would have said at the beginning of the year that the Mammoth or the Ducks could be playing for a conference final, again, 100% of people would have said you're an absolute liar. So, but that is the beauty of the Stanley Cup playoffs, the parity and the opportunities that come. It's so unpredictable, and that's what makes it so fun.
I know that Ryan Smith referenced this in his press conference. I've known Jim Olsen for a long time. Jim's going to make whatever work because he's that kind of guy, but I don't know if there's a guy with more conflicted feelings going on right now than Jim Olsen.
I mean, yeah, but they're going to get it done. Like, and
oh yeah,
they'll work with it with whatever timeline they're given, and it's the best thing for this organization to go on a deep run. And if they do end up somehow winning this series and facing Anaheim, and if they're able to somehow beat them and go to the conference final, I am certain that they will take that, 10 out of 10 times and just live with the results, and they'll find a way.
Yeah.
I mean, what they've done over the last 2 years in terms of upgrading the lower bowl of the Delta Center and building a world-class practice facility and, working on a new Jazz practice facility. Like, it's unbelievable. I don't know how they do it, but they'll get it done.
Cole, you're the best, man. Appreciate it. Enjoy Game 4 tonight. Great coverage, as always, and looking forward to talking about a 3-1 series advantage after this one.
All right. Thanks, fellas.
There he is, Cole Bagley, NHL Mammoth Insider for KSL Sports and KSLSports.com.
We got good hockey people.
We got great
I love
hockey
talking
people.
To these hockey folks.
Jay cracks me up. Mike Folta is awesome. Cole
Nick
can break it down. Nick Olczyk. I mean, come on, you can't find a better hockey guy than – I mean, when your name's Nick Olczyk, like, there's really nothing else you can do in life than to talk hockey.
Well, when I saw his dad calling the Olympics, I'm like, okay, this guy's got some lineage.
Yeah.
Only thing better would have been Nick Hipcheck.
Crosscheck?
Or Nick Crosscheck.
Forecheck?
Or Nick.
You know what you need to do. Do it.
Sorry, buddy, I don't have it here.
Do it.
I don't have it.
I bet if I said that, you would have had me car crash so fast.
I don't have it here. I'm sorry. I haven't added it to the button bar.
That deserved a car crash.
No, it didn't.
Shame on you. Oh, my goodness.
We're getting used to it.
I'm pulling out all the dad jokes now just to make sure that you get that on the button bar. Like, I'm going to force you to do it.
He'll be like, dang it, I need to put it on there. There's too many.
All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to spin the wheel and talk some sports. This is Sports Roulette on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, time for another edition of Sports Roulette. This is where a roulette wheel dictates our topics of conversation.
I love that the roulette wheel actually exists. I thought it was always just a sound effect.
No. It is real and it is spectacular. And with Lloyd and his ability to keep that thing afloat, a lot of WD-40 throughout the years on that thing. But
came from the Excalibur said Excalibur on the
Yeah,
outside.
yeah. And, it's seen some things, that's for sure. All right, with that, Lloyd fired up. Let's get to it.
Odds are he's going to miss some games.
Probably you're going to see a suspension of some kind, could be as much as an entire season for Brendan Sorsby, as he is, the announcement came earlier today from him and Texas Tech that he is entering a residential treatment program for a gambling addiction. And then, as we expected, as soon as that announcement was made, then more stories started to come out. Now there's conversations about him being so addicted that he was at a Cincinnati Reds game and was essentially gambling $1 or $2 on every pitch. Apparently you can do that on every single,
Pete Rose would like to have a word.
Now, obviously, that's not going to get him in trouble with the NCAA on betting on Major League Baseball, but some reports that he was betting on programs that he was a part of throughout his college career.
Yeah, thousands, it said, the literal thousands of bets. That would make sense if he's betting on every pitch, because that's going to kick it up quick. But no, it's it is a statement as to where we are. I think that is in everybody's purview now, and literally sitting right there on their phone. It's really, really sad, but I'm with you. It did seem strategic. The release seems strategic for what's to come, and we've just heard a little bit, but I bet there's quite a story with this one.
He was in line to be one of the highest paid players in college football last year, or this upcoming year, was expected to make over $5 million to leave Cincinnati and go to Texas Tech.
And it reminds me, we just went through, and the Sharon Moore stuff was kind of public last week with the trial, and with his appearance. The bottom line is, man, you can't forget what's number one. What's getting you to where you're going. For Sorsby, it was throwing the ball around, slinging the ball around, being a quarterback, and the money that he's being paid is ridiculous. But he's still betting $1 on a pitch. Everything adds up, and he just like Sharon Moore, they lost track of what real was.
And that's the ultimate thing. Like, you're gonna just flush away your career, flush away even just a $5 million. It's amazing to me that it would just get wiped away like that.
Well, and you said it, even like you've had the thought, comes into your head.
Oh, yeah.
I know what's going to happen here, but, you make a choice. I like my job. I like what I do. I see over a 10-year period, I'm going to make a lot of money doing it. I'm going to keep doing it. And I'm not going to, let a couple, what's the most you'd probably even bet? $1,000 maybe. It's just ridiculous.
Well, and the other thing too is, look, I know that eventually like the ratings are going to drop or something like that. And if Lloyd and Nate pull me in the office and they say, hey, look, you know what? You lost your fastball. This isn't working anymore. We need to go in a different direction. And I would be very upset. I wouldn't be happy about it, but my head would hit the pillow at night knowing that, gave it my best shot.
The right way?
I can't imagine going home and telling my wife, hey, I'm unemployed. Well, what happened? I'm like, I gambled and it came out. Like, the self-inflicted unemployment, I don't want any part of that. Like, and we live in a day and age where it's real easy to get yourself into that kind of trouble, but I can't imagine coming home and telling your family that you no longer have a job because of a really stupid thing you did.
Yeah, and it comes down to that when you peel it all back. And for every one, Brandon, so there's hundreds.
Oh, yeah.
So this is an epidemic. I think this is just going to be one of many stories, but it's just way too accessible, and guys feel like they can control the outcome.
Yeah, that's the scary part. All right, Lloyd, spin it.
Number 9, no more.
If you want to go to Utah State and play football, you can't wear number 9 anymore because Bobby Wagner will have his jersey retired. Only the third player in Utah State football history to have his jersey retired. So you will no longer see a number 9 out on the field for the Aggies, and deservedly so. The guy's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer in the National Football League. He has brought a ton of notoriety to Utah State. And he was a guy that went to Utah State when nobody was going to Utah State, when it was really bad in football. But Gary Anderson came in, got him turned around, got the program turned around, and he's had an incredible NFL career. So Bobby Wagner, who, by the way, was the commencement speaker at graduation for Utah State as well.
Well, it's an incredible honor. I was just able to go through Jimmer's ceremony this year and the dinner and everything else. It was really cool, because you see them, but you see all of the people that had something to do with them getting to where they went. And Wagner's carried the flag. Obviously, a little bit of drama in the interim, but the bottom line is everything that ends well is good with me, and that's where he should be. That number should be retired. I've enjoyed watching him fly around the football field for years, so this will be cool to see that number hanging.
Yeah, and overall a good dude, too.
100%, yeah.
And he's got a great story about how he ended up at Utah State, where he had a couple options, not a lot of great options, but there were about 2 or 3 schools that came and offered him a scholarship, and his mom said, "Where is the city where you're going to get in the least amount of trouble?" Logan, Utah. That is where you're going. He's like, "Well, I'm also looking at nope, you're going there." So
thanks, Mom.
Not only should Bobby Wagner's jersey be retired, but somehow recognition of Bobby Wagner's mom, because that's ultimately the reason he ended up at Utah State.
Well, you could put a can of Campbell's soup.
Yes.
Those old ads that had mom behind the great players.
Is there you knew pretty quickly when you walked into a kid's living room who was really the decision maker?
Oh, yeah, you had to. That was the old adage. You had to figure out who was at the plate, because there's all sorts of people sitting in the room, and sometimes it was really easy. Sometimes it was mom or dad, and you could tell. But so many instances where it was actually somebody that wasn't even in the house, an AAU coach or somebody in their ear. So that was number one. You got to figure out who you're talking to.
How often was it the actual kid himself?
Pretty much zero.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, they all knew what they wanted to do, but, they weren't about to make that decision.
But ultimately, they were told where to go.
Yeah. Or encouraged, or,
And this was before the NIL money. Now I got to imagine it's even worse.
Yeah, back then, we didn't give extra, money or millions of dollars. We just, it was in the blessings when you chose to come.
Yeah.
Extra blessings.
All right, Lloyd, spin it.
Tough times for the T-Wolves.
All right, so I know Minnesota's got a bit of a stranglehold on that series, but I think the run for Minnesota is going to end pretty quickly, not because they're not good, but because they're dropping like flies right now. And this is, I hated this one in particular because he has had such a great playoff run. DiVincenzo tore his Achilles, so obviously he is done. And now Anthony Edwards has ligament damage, and he's out weeks, but definitely out for the remainder of this series and probably the next round if they go much further than that. So it's been fun. I've loved watching Minnesota play. I've loved watching what they've done to Denver, but I don't think this gives Denver much life in this series, but it definitely dooms Minnesota in the next round.
Yeah, I have to agree. And certainly, Ant is Ant. And, that's obviously the biggest one. He's been dealing with, in the other knee, some runner's knee this year. And he's been sidelined here and there. This is the opposite knee. And like you said, going to be out for a bit. The DiVincenzo is big too, though. He's their Yamamoto. What Yamamoto is to the Mammoth, the agitator, the guy, the extra effort guy, the guy that's just 100% out there for the team. That's what Dante was for them. So they'll miss that big time. But the Ant news is much bigger, and as it looks like the Spurs are waiting in the next round. Oh, yeah, the tenure in the playoffs doesn't seem to be like it's going to last that long.
And DiVincenzo, coach's kid, scrappy.
Villanova guy.
He's, sneaky athletic. I'm trying to think of all the other adjectives you can use to describe him.
Just give me somebody like him on every team, though.
Yeah.
No
doubt.
That was Jackson Emery for us. That was, guys that, they've got goals and aspirations, but nothing more than just winning the game.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Wrap up this show when we come back next.
You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, I'm producing a little bit on the fly here, but there's always you're a coach at heart. You are all about accountability.
Most times, unless I'm involved, and
so
then we'll slide the scale.
But we are going to do a write the script. What we're going to see tonight. So, Mammoth, Golden Knight. I'm going to write them down. Give me your final score.
3-2 Mammoth in overtime.
Ooh. In OT. Lloyd, where are you going?
I think they put a lot more shots on net, and they do take a 3-1 series lead.
And your score?
My score is going to be 4-1.
Ooh,
I love that.
An old-fashioned
no stress.
Yeah.
Butt whooping.
I shouldn't even say that because they're all their games for the most part are extremely stressful. It gets tight. Outside of the last game.
But honestly, from a viewing perspective, I would much rather watch your game.
There's a lot of anxiety
when
you're sitting there watching those. Like, it's intense.
Yeah.
All right. I am going to go. I think you're going to have a higher scoring game. I'm going to go 4-3 Mammoth tonight.
Regulation?
I'll go regulation. But I think Veggie's been so good, and I think he gives up a couple tonight.
One thing for sure, the place will be Madhouse again.
Yes.
Hopefully our listeners are going to get down there early. It is raining, but there's festivities on the plaza. So get down there early and get a part of it. And even if you don't have tickets, like you said, Scotty, it's a heck of a place to hang out. Go watch the game across the street in the sports bar and be right there when everything goes down.
Imagine what that's going to look like after that game goes final and the Mammoth are up 3-1. The place is going to be a madhouse. And then, you know what what really needs to happen here is that Utah needs to win tonight, and then it's okay. Lose game 5. Go to Vegas, drop that game, because I want this team to clinch this series in front of their home crowd.
That would be awesome. I mean, that would be storybook stuff.
So game 6, what would that be, Friday?
But I'm also okay if they wrap it up in Vegas.
Yeah, I would be okay with that too. But I think it would be cool to celebrate a series victory.
That would be very, very cool.
You just want to see them wrap it.
You want to see?
Yeah. You just want to see.
I don't care how they do it.
I don't care
honestly.
where you do it.
They're going to turn cars over down on 3rd West.
Oh yeah, at John Stockton Drive, they're going to.
It's just trouble down there.
If I see any sort of Mercedes van, I'm tipping it.
Let's go. I'm with you, dog.
I'd love to see the three of us. Is there a little show bonding? My tipping over David Locke's van.
And then, like, the three of us, our faces are in the headlines the next day. We got carried away. We were so
It's
excited.
top heavy. I promise you it's top heavy.
Yo, I guarantee it is. For sure.
Are you thinking that particular one?
That particular van?
Dave's? Or are you just talking anyone?
No, I'm talking about that particular van.
We'll turn you over.
If you're putting over a van right there, it's usually would be his.
That's true, because it won't hit another car because he parks on that very end.
Yeah.
He's got his area.
And by the way,
if they win at home in 6, we're there.
Yes, for sure. I just, that van is, he loves driving that thing around, man.
I would too. That thing is so amazing.
So I would get out. You know, we all park in the same place for the games, right there on the curb, which drew Lloyd's ire.
It's like you have a parking spot?
Anyhow, David parks out there, and without fail, nearly every day, I'd grab my backpack, start to walk in, and be summoned from the open sliding door. Hey! Just
I thought you were going to say he donated some money in your cup.
No.
Oh.
No.
You see these bamboo cabinets? They were handcrafted.
In Malaysia.
By the way, he's joining the show on Thursday at 1:30.
You guys mended fences?
I don't know about that, but he is joining. He is joining at 1:30.
Stop changing it up on him.
I'm not. It'll be 1:30 throughout the rest of the NBA playoffs on Thursday.
You guys know I worked as an intern for him.
Yes.
I used to dodge pencils.
Because
in his Diego.
No wonder where
Pavia
Scotty got
days,
it from.
He was Diego Pavia back then.
He'd throw pencils
He had
at
to grow, but yeah. I was an intern. I'd come in with bad news, and pencil lead'd fly at me.
Now, Scotty's been throwing pens at the glass at me for years upon years.
And they've all been deserved.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I'm just excited to have a front row seat now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to see it.
Yeah, I promise you I'll never
I'm sure you'll
throw
be throwing
anything
a pencil or a pen at me at some point,
I
too.
promise you I won't.
Can't wait to see the real prima donna come out in you.
Oh, I'm a cat guy.
Well, so, when we had that first locker room clean out after the Jazz first season with Donovan Mitchell, I remember we all looked at each other like, please don't change. Please stay this guy. Don't let the NBA get you. But the NBA got him. So
what are you saying?
So I'm just saying, I hope the radio doesn't get you.
Listen, just keep my
Always
distance from
does.
you two. I'll be fine. Where's my bodyguard?
It always does. It gets everybody.
Where's my bodyguard?
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Now's the time to save on new carpet at the Home Depot. Receive 10% off your total carpet project and 12 months special financing. Plus, we'll measure your space for free. Choose from a variety of stylish, on-trend options fit for everyday life. With LifeProof with pet-proof technology, Home Decorators Collection, and Traffic Master carpets. Save 10% and get 12 months special financing now at the Home Depot. Offer valid April 16th through May 3rd, 2026. Exclusions apply. For licenses, see homedepot.com/license numbers.